Baby.
We done did it.
Yes. There we are. And we are live. Welcome to Talking Heads, everybody. Episode, I don't even remember. 127. God. Is it even Wednesday? I don't even know.
It doesn't feel like it.
Doesn't even feel like it.
It's Sunday every day now.
Yeah. I have yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And even tomorrow is kind of blending into today.
Yep.
Oh, welcome to the show, everybody. How's it going tonight on this Quarantine Wednesday? Welcome to Talking Heads, your once-weekly live show for the latest in beer and tech news. I'm Jeff.
I'm Rhett.
Oh, man. How's everyone doing out there in Chatland? If you've never seen the show before, we talk about beer, we talk about tech, we talk about whatever the heck else comes out of the rest of the show. It has been a weird week.
Yeah. I think weeks are only going to get weirder from here on out.
Yeah, just when I thought I finally had a handle on the shelter in place and the quarantine order and everything else, with my company, it has been curveball after curveball after curveball. And, you know, everyone kind of says, you know, working at home and doing what you love is kind of the dream. And all of a sudden, I'm working at home. I'm a sysadmin. I'm a sysadmin by day. I'm a YouTuber by night. You know, and all of a sudden, this has been like two of the most stressful weeks of my life, because I'm the CTO for my organization. And when all of a sudden you have 2,000 people who want to work from home, and your company mantra has never once done that. Like, I can support people in the office. That's not a problem. I got people for that. I don't have people to support 2,000 remote clients at the same time. So spinning up that infrastructure overnight has, oh my God, it has been an ordeal. But we're getting through it. We're almost through the worst of it. I think status quo should return very soon, or at least, you know, some semblance of normal should start to take over. How's your week been, Rhett?
Oh, man, it's been, I don't know, probably not nearly as hectic as yours, but again, it's like nothing is normal anymore.
Right.
You know, you got to think about even just heading out to the grocery store and all that. And,
right.
You know, we kind of made the decision a couple weeks ago that I was going to take some extra time off work, which is, you know, it's good timing because, of course, we got the baby. You know, so it's like a mixed bag of stuff, like a little bit of good, you know, get to stay home and see the kiddo some more. Mm-hmm. But then I'm also, you know, home more,
right.
Missing work, which is, I don't know, not the end of the world. I don't really care about work all that much, but it is nice to have, you know, money from time to time.
Right. It helps with certain things.
It does. Yeah, it does. You know, I ran out of beer today, so.
Oh, no.
So I'm going to have to plan my next outing into the Capitol Wastes.
Yeah. You're doing this show sober?
Oh, well, I mean, I am sober, but I got a little bit of red wine here.
Okay.
And I got a cocktail over here.
I was worried for a minute. I was worried I was going to be the only one.
I was looking forward to drinking a beer, but I'm out of beer. I did go through 2 handles of whiskey already, so that's, you know, that's great. But I made up for that handle that we had to leave behind in Vegas last year. So.
Yep. What's really funny is I don't know if we've ever talked about that aspect of CES. So 2 years in a row. So my first year when I went with Modders Inc., and then my first year as Craft Computing officially and going with Rhett, we got to the hotel and I bought myself just a little, you know, fifth, the Seagram 7, and with the intention of, like, when we get back to the hotel, maybe I want just a little whiskey on the rocks, just kind of calm the nerves and help me sleep a little bit, you know, because again,
I'm editing a little more easy.
Make editing a little
laptop, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a comfort little thing. I'm certainly not a binge drinker. I'm not a party guy. I'm the one or two cocktails on a weekend and I'm good. So when you're in Vegas, you go out and it's drinking every night at these parties. And so both years I bought myself a fifth of whiskey and I had one snifter out of it and we left the entire bottle behind. This year I went with Steve and the parties were actually down a little bit. Like there wasn't as much liquor flowing and it was a lot of, it's Vegas but it's still well drinks. Yeah. Where it's, your, what's the Scotch?
Johnny Walker or something? Or
no, it's the white label Scotch.
Oh. Dewar's or Grants.
Dewar's. Dewar's. Yeah. White label Dewar's. White label Dewar's, Jack, Jim, Sapphire, your typical, $15 bottles. So it's like, I really don't feel like getting smashed with all that cheap, kind of stuff. Like if they're serving Johnny Walker Blue like they were the first year, I'm all in, let's do this thing. But this last year was like, the alcohol's just not quite as good. And so Steve and I think we went through 3/5 in the hotel room. in the after hours of the parties. Nice. Just because the liquor at the parties wasn't all that great. Let's see.
When it was us though, it wasn't even just a fifth, it was a whole handle. Like, right. I don't know what it took us to upgrade it. It was pretty cheap, obviously.
I think it was the only way we could get the Seagrams where we were at.
Must have been.
Because we went to Walmart and I just want a cheap whiskey and it's like, oh, Seagram's there. Look, oh, they only have a handle. Okay. $22. That sounds good to me.
And remember, as we were checking out,
the dude stole the. Yeah.
He just went behind the counter and grabbed like 3 or 4 bottles and just walked out.
Yeah. There's this big old burly dude. We're standing in line to buy our one handle of whiskey, and this poor 50-some-year-old lady is checking everyone out, and this dude literally just hops the counter, grabs 4 bottles of liquor off the shelf, hops the counter again, and then walks out the front door.
Yeah. And the most resistance he got was somebody who was like, "Hey!"
Yeah, she kind of went, "You can't be back here."
Yeah. I was pretty impressed with that.
Young man!
For a living, and I was just like, dang, that guy was in the store for like legitimately 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And got what he wanted. Good for him, I guess.
Sometimes the goal of shopping is to get in and get out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, if you've never seen the show before, we drink beer on the show. We do keep the content as family-friendly as humanly possible in both language and content. Usually about 20 minutes of beer news, although it's dramatically less today. We've only got 2 beer stories. We spend usually about an hour on tech news. Again, it's dramatically less today. I think we only have 4 news stories to talk about. And then usually it's games, entertainment, pop culture. Today there are no stories because there's really no games, entertainment, or pop culture happening right now. So today's going to be a little bit more off the cuff, just kind of having a good time. Kind of like our show a couple of weeks ago, but hopefully not 4.5 hours long. So, welcome to the show. As always, in the early show chat, let us know what you're drinking, and we'll try to give some shout-outs. Someone was pointing out you got that dad beard growing out. The quarantine dad beard is coming in nicely.
Yeah, this is the quarantine beard for sure.
Yeah.
I was thinking about shaving the other day, and I thought, I've gotten this long.
Yeah. I usually have this thing I don't shave on vacation, so I've actually been shaving so I feel like I'm still working. Because otherwise, you can tell how much my life has gone to crap by how much I don't shave the chin strap.
Oh,
if it starts pushing into the cheeks, you know I haven't given a crap in like a week and a half.
Yeah. So is that what this means? That I'm just like, life's getting to me?
I think you're past the life's getting to me, and you're more like I'm trying to be distinguished.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've gone one step past.
I like that, though. Yeah. So it becomes like a more positive type thing.
Absolutely. John says, Jeff's company, guys, just download TeamViewer. It lets you work from home.
Yeah.
I will say for remote support, we use pretty much 100% internal tools. We do offer remote support to a lot of our remote offices and whatnot, but it's all VPN, secure tunnel based kind of stuff, and it's all meant to be ran internally. It's a client calls into the server, not a client calls into the network and then seeks the server out. We operate basically on one large LAN, segregated, but still the same physical network. Over VPN tunnels and various ISPs. So it's a little bit different when you're all of a sudden trying to spin that around and run a company. So anyway, Rhett's drinking a little bit of red wine. I feel really bad because normally I would like rub it in John's face that he's having like a Coors Light or something like that. I was gonna have a Dragon's Milk tonight.
Go for it. You're not gonna hurt my feelings.
All right, as long as you're good for it, I'm gonna totally go for that. The show is yours for about 30 seconds, man.
Yeah. Well, here I'll tell you guys about what I'm drinking. It's called $2 Chuck from Trader Joe's. It's $3 a bottle, and it gets the job done. And shopping at Trader Joe's, you can feel good about it in isolation because apparently they're paying their employees pretty well, making sure people are staying healthy. And the wine's not bad. $3 a bottle. I think this is just a red table blend, though. So, what are you going to do? Nothing fancy here.
You're not going to hear anything bad from me out of $3 table wine.
Exactly.
I've had worse.
Oh, yeah. And this is like top quality, cheap wine. So.
Right, exactly.
And I'm an expert.
Box or bottle? Or is it bag? Okay.
It's a bottle, yeah.
Okay.
This is you might have missed it, but it's the $2 Chuck from Trader Joe's.
Oh yeah. Okay.
It's not $2 anymore. It's $2.99, but
$2.99. Right.
Still pretty good. It's like the gold standard of cheap wine in my opinion.
Totally.
Whoops.
So I'm obviously having the New Holland Brewing Dragon's Milk, just the straight up Dragon's Milk. I don't have any of the limited aged reserves or anything like that, as someone on my Patreon took a picture of earlier this week. But I did want to point out that I am a man of my word. We gave some shout outs. If you follow me on Twitter, I gave some shout outs to Aviation Gin, Ryan Reynolds distillery here in Portland, because any bottle sold online during the quarantine period, Aviation is giving 30% of proceeds back to out-of-work bartenders. And
nice.
Honestly, bartenders, near and dear to my heart. I'm a fan, I'm a customer. But I said I was going to get online and order a bottle of Aviation Gin, and I did just that. I bought it direct from, one of the retailers that will ship to Oregon. But bought a bottle of Aviation Gin, and even spent the extra $5 to get the signature edition. The gin inside is the same, but they engraved the bottle with his name.
That's pretty legit.
So yeah, I went, I'll spend the extra $5 and get a nice little laser engraved bottle. That's totally cool.
Yeah, why not? That's cool.
And then Aisha Tyler's company, Courage and Stone, I want to say. Courage and Stone. I think. Yes. So if you're not aware, Aisha Tyler also has a liquor-based company called Courage and Stone. And what she does is she does straight out of the glass cocktails. And these are genuine craft cocktails. This is not some weird syrups and concentrates and crap like that. What they literally do is make up large batches of old fashions, Manhattans, and they're experimenting with some other flavors right now and trying to get off the ground. But it's about $20 for a bottle, but it's basically a $20 bottle of a pre-mixed craft old fashioned.
Nice.
And so Aisha Tyler matched Ryan Reynolds and is also giving away 30% of proceeds for anything bought on her store. So I think we talked about Ryan Reynolds. I don't think we talked about Aisha Tyler's, but Courage and Stone, I bought one of each bottle, and those should be shipping to me soon. And I hope to have them on the show to give a little review of them because, again, craft cocktail guy all the way. As much as I love beer, I love cocktails more, if it wasn't evident. It's just I can talk about beer a little bit better and there's a little bit more variety because, you know, I just think beer is more interesting to present on camera than, oh, look, another whiskey. Oh, look, it's brown again. You know, there's just more variety in beer, and so that's what I base the channel around. But anyway,
generally more accessible too.
Right, and I agree with that as well. You know, not everyone wants the full bar, and you know, stocking a bar like this, it's quite expensive. I've got $1,000 in liquor up there. Maybe not quite, but I think at my peak I hit 47 bottles. I think I'm down to 40 right now, and I feel like I'm empty. I feel like I don't have enough variety right now, and that bugs me.
Man, that's what I should have done. I should have stocked my shelf behind me with like my liquor, you know, just like my Seagram 7 Crown and my like, my Potter's vodka.
I guess I should be doing this on the full screen. Hold on, there we go. Get the motor oil pour there.
Oh yeah, that's good. Oh yeah, that's good.
There we go. Trying to get a little head built on it. It was pouring so smooth and thick it wasn't wanting to form a head. There we go.
Oof.
Yeah, buddy.
Well done, sir.
Yeah, buddy. Okay. Rhett, cheers, my friend.
Cheers. And cheers to you all.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God. So I already had 2 bottles in the fridge, and we made an online Costco order. And Megan's going through all the bottles that they have on there, and she goes, "Do you have all these?" And I said, "Oh, give me a dragon's milk." And she goes, "Don't you have one of those?" I said, "Actually, I have 2 of them, but I could always use a third." I'm honest. I said I already had 2, and she bought it anyway for me. So
nice.
So much love to my producer. That's right. Oh, and thank you, Gollum. Jeff, you are never the only one drinking on this show. Jonathan, Star Trek. Wow, love it. Let's see. Oh, I didn't give my beer shout outs. Let's give a couple of beer shout outs, and then we'll get into our first story here since we're already 20 minutes into the show. It's just been us talking. Let's see. Did AMD sell the Sapphire whiskey? No, it wasn't AMD. Only the Corsair dinner had the good booze, and the Corsair dinner was exquisite booze. God, those were good cocktails. Seagram's at Walmart. Wow. Yeah. Vegas is a different kind of place. Walmart didn't have any slot machines, but every other place you walk into has a slot machine and sells liquor. Yeah. And it's amazing.
Yeah.
Jackpot games later. We might. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Richard, tonight having the Wallows 2020. I am jealous. I've been looking for it the couple of times I've gone out, but I have not made it over to a bottle shop at all. And so all I've had is the couple of local grocery stores that I've got. And one of them Safeway, and their craft beer section, I kid you not, is just an end cap. And it's all the 19 ounce really high ABV stuff that you can get just about everywhere. It's the Hot Bullets and the Widmer Dreadnought and stuff like that, where it's like $2.50 a can. And it's like, oh, it's craft beer. You know, good, but Regan's drinking a fat tire. Paradox has 3 fingers of Crown Royal. Respect. DJ, Rogue Dead Guy Ale. Very nice. Finishing a Stone Peak Conditions IPA, and my oldest turned 18, so why not drink some Jameson old 18 year to celebrate? You know what, John Jay? I'm gonna stop the beer shout outs right there, because hold on one more second.
I'm gonna keep enjoying my cheap wine.
Are you done?
Oh, I didn't see you there.
So, John Jay, I'm going to say happy birthday to your son, and let's share one together, shall we? Jameson, 18 year.
Go ahead and pour me one, too.
I'm only going to pour myself one. No offense, Rhett.
You're a son of a gun.
There we go. I'm just doing just a little half a finger, but
I didn't get any at your birthday. I don't get any now.
I offered you some at my birthday.
No, you did not, sir.
I could have swore I did.
It seemed out of character. I will grant you that, but you did not.
you should have felt obligated to pour yourself a snifter.
I almost thought about it, but I felt a little out of my element, so I didn't want to.
Yeah. Oh no,
on anybody's toes.
You would not be intruding at all. Anyway, happy birthday, John, son. Many more to you.
Oof. I'm jealous.
Yeah, now you're jealous. Oh God, that's good. Happy birthday, my friend. All right, let's finally get into some news here.
Let's do it.
Right.
Let's see us do it.
So starting with, Colorado Brewery is giving away 4,000 free cases of beer to frontline medical workers. And not just medical, they are giving away to healthcare, police, fire, EMS, delivery drivers, grocery store, and other food service employees. So all of the essential employees who are not worth $15 an hour normally, but suddenly everyone is life and death without them. So this is a really cool move. I like seeing companies do moves like this, and I support companies who do moves like this. That's why I went out and bought a bottle of Aviation Gin, not because they're local, but because they're giving away 30%. That's why I went out and bought Courage and Stone. I put my money where I put my company support, and you support those who are supporting us. You'll earn my business.
Yeah, that's the way to do it for sure. I mean, we all got to step up and take care of each other, and this is like a really small but like kind of significant way of doing it if you're at your company, Right. So,
yeah. So it's Avery Brewing, and actually I have an Avery in the fridge right now. Maybe we'll finish up with that. Avery Brewing, giving away one free case of Stampede while supplies last. Orders can be placed online. Pickup hours for to-go beer are from 2 to 6 p.m. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So, yeah, if you're a frontline worker working in Colorado near Avery Brewing, go register for your free case of beer.
Perfect.
So, very cool move. Very cool move by Avery. I know I could definitely use someone delivering my beer. Costco has usually a really decent craft selection, but it's not expansive.
Right.
And so they're the only ones who will do home deliveries where I live. And like I said, I was able to get a Dragon's Milk. I got the Rogue 2020 Imperial Thunder or Rolling Thunder Imperial Stout there a couple of weeks ago for like $13, which when it's normally like a $22 or $25 bottle.
Yeah.
You can get some good beer from Costco, but
well,
not always.
You're forgetting the most obvious one, which is the Kirkland Light, which is.
Oh yes, how could I forget that? Oh wait, I blocked that memory out.
Hey, it's better than Bud Light.
That's very true. It's very true. I don't know how much better, but at least it's not Bud Light. How's that?
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
This one is a really cool story. And just another thinking outside the box moment that I love seeing things like this in moments of need where someone goes, well, how did they put it? I think Adam Savage put it that the makers have certainly had their Apollo 13 moment and have lived up to every minute of it.
Yeah.
With the 3D printed face shields and the ventilators that are coming out of almost every single company right now, between Tesla and Ford and Chevy and whatnot, making ventilators out of car parts, just repurposing things and adding a couple extra valves that you source locally. I think all that kind of stuff is cool. This one's a little bit different, and this one is beer related. So Santan Brewing Company is taking expired beer, either donations or stuff that's in their factories or remnants of batches, and they are distilling it down to get it above 80% so it can be used to make hand sanitizer. And so something that would normally just be thrown away, they are repurposing into something that is vitally in low supply right now.
Yeah, this is really cool. And what's neat is just how many alcohol-related businesses have really stepped up to the plate in this. Like, have you seen how many like local distillers are now like? There's one local to us that says you can pull your car around back and they'll give you a box of free hand sanitizer. They were making gin, now they're making hand sanitizer.
Right. Was that Cannon Beach? Was that Cannon Beach that was doing that, or who was doing that?
You know what? I'll tell you. Why don't I Google it?
Because I know there's Cannon Beach Distillery, and I know they're a ginnery. They do gin, rum, and whiskey. Although you have to catch the whiskey at the right time of year because they only make it do one batch a year.
So it is Salem's Divine Distillers.
Oh, Divine. Yeah. Okay. I always forget about them. I always forget they're there.
Well, I don't think they're a big operation, right?
No.
But they are local to us, and they allow anybody to just like roll up, and they'll like put hand sanitizer in your trunk.
Yeah.
Or they'll even let you come and fill up your own containers and stuff.
Yeah. Jameson devoted an entire couple of days of batches of their whiskey making to making high proof alcohol for hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
And Budweiser started doing the same thing. They started distilling their mash and producing hand sanitizer with it. There's a lot of companies that are just like, well, it's the same damn equipment. Who cares if it's made out of corn or made, whatever else? I mean, you got to get ethanol some way.
Yeah.
Like I said, the ingenuity that comes out of times like this is really inspiring to me as someone who does try to think outside the box a lot of time, and a lot of my job is problem solving. I mean, that's what being a sysadmin and a support person is you have this issue, how can I fix it?
Yeah. It's really inspiring too, seeing, just like the sheer number, like the sheer raw manufacturing power of the world, like when geared towards one thing, it's like, oh, they're making that many a day.
Right.
Like I was reading 3M, and I don't know if it's worldwide or if it's just from like a handful of their factories, but they're making 35 million ventilators a day.
I think it was it was 35 million face shields. And
dude, no, it's definitely
was it ventilators?
Yeah, I think so, because I was just like, what? And then it took me down a rabbit hole of like World War II manufacturing. Like, what were we able to do then? And like the Ford plants were able to like.
Did you see the story of the French doctor who created a ventilator with a garden hose and plumbing supplies?
Right. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
I didn't put that on there, but I read that one. I'm like, holy crap! Like $11.99, and I've got a ventilator.
So here's an article from the Wall Street Journal. It says that they are able to. So they're able to do like 100 million face masks each month.
Yeah.
35. So maybe it's a month. Maybe I must have misread.
Yeah, I think it was a month.
Being like some obscene number.
Yeah.
But then they're also able to make 35 million ventilators.
That's impressive. Are you sure it's not 35,000?
No, 35 million. Yeah, it's all over 35 million. Wall Street Journal, Time.
Because there's not that many ventilators in the U.S.
Right.
There's 450 crazy. In the state of Oregon. Like,
right.
There's not that many ventilators out there.
Right.
And I can't imagine them ramping up scale that fast.
It's every. So maybe I could be mistaken about this, but I think it's every manufacturing plant of 3M on the planet is making these things right now. Mm-hmm. So I could be wrong about it. But
respirator mask.
Yeah, the N95 masks, but they're also like here. Let me see if I can send you this. Like here's one from Time.
Interesting.
Let me make sure that my numbers are in here. Otherwise, 35 million. Oh yeah, that's masks too.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'm stupid.
I think it's 35 million.
You must be right.
I think it's 35 million ventilator masks. Or respirator masks, because that's the Google keeps trying to correct my search.
Oh.
Yeah, Linus set up a 3D printer farm, which is doing 300 face masks per day. They're going through, what did he say? I forget the number of or the amount of filament he was going through, but it's something like 30 spools a day of filament they're running through.
Yeah.
They're spending $4,000 on filament a day.
Yeah. So here's the word that tripped me up. I found the original article I read, and they say they used the word respirator, not ventilator, but that threw me off. So
yeah, okay, and that sounds more accurate, because I knew they were doing like 100 million face shields and 35 million masks or something like that.
Yeah. So shooting from the hip and a miss.
You were close.
But
that's
still,
right.
it's crazy to think. So this article says that their global output, if maintained, for respirator masks would be 1.1 billion a year.
Yeah.
Is what they're producing.
Yep.
Like in the United States alone, it's 35 million a month.
Mm-hmm.
But they're doing 100 million per month globally, which is still like pretty crazy.
That's still insane. That's
yeah.
That's
I
still
mean, that's
crazy
like
number.
incomprehensible numbers.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Richard, finished the Waldo's, now having a Jameson Caskmates Edition IPA. I don't have the IPA cask. I've got the Caskmates Stout, but I think I'm going to limit myself to the one little snifter, because this is 11% and there's no one else here.
Yeah, better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, did you see that guy from Silverton too? Got a shout out from the governor for he's just getting his 3D printers roaming at home, face shields.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a whole movement of makers that are turning their home assembly lines into face shield, ventilator, respirator, mask assembly. My wife made 40 masks yesterday.
Nice.
Just cotton face masks out of her scrap fabric.
Oh man, legit.
I got a My Little Pony one.
Nice. My little pony, my little pony. Oh, it is all very impressive.
Yep. So yeah, the power of being put in a situation where you have to produce something is usually what pushes us forward with manufacturing techniques. I mean, it's impressive stuff. We do have a little bit of tech news to get to, but I think I'm gonna leapfrog the news or the one story. So the next story that's on the list is the Intel story. I'm going to leapfrog that and then come back to the Intel.
All right. Copy that.
So now you're prepared. Aha.
Super prepared.
And I guess technically beer news stops at 36 minutes, I guess.
Hey, perfect.
But it wasn't all beer news. That was a lot of... Anyway, speaking of companies that are spinning up production into something medically relevant that they're not known for producing, Maingear out of New York, boutique PC builder, is now making ventilators, and surprise, surprise, it kind of looks like a PC case.
Yeah, why not?
So basically, they've moved a lot of their PC manufacturing over to ventilators. So they crammed a ventilator out of a lot of equipment they had laying around and repurposed equipment in order to make a CPAP machine. This is an active ventilator with patient monitoring. I know some people were trying to give Tesla a lot of crap because they made 4,000 ventilators that were passive CPAP, that were basically just like feeding oxygen but not sustaining pressure and things like that.
Yeah.
And they're like, come on, Elon, you couldn't do any better than that. And they're like, we have a need for those too. Like, you don't have to produce just an active ventilator for it to make a difference in the medical world. Yeah. And not only that, but Tesla also made an active ventilator, and they're now shipping those out as well. So I just get so irate at the choosy beggars of the world.
Yeah.
Here's 4,000 ventilators that could literally save like 12,000 lives. Oh, come on, you didn't make the better one of those?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and some people, Tesla's kind of one of those companies where I think a lot of people kind of hope that it fails just because of Elon Musk.
Yep. Right. And there's a lot of Tesla naysayers out there and everything else. And just one of my pet peeves. It's like the people who got mad at Jeff Bezos for only donating $100 million. It's like, it's still $100 million. You realize that, right? Like, that's more money than you will ever make in your lifetime. Times 100.
Hey, you shut up. Don't remind me how poor I am.
I wasn't pointing fingers. But it's like, oh, come on. That's like me donating 30 cents. Did you donate 30 cents?
Yeah. Yeah, true. My contribution to this is staying home.
I'm doing my part.
Seriously, you know how difficult it is to make really crappy vodka cocktails with what I have in my fridge right now?
Is there even a lime in that?
No, but there is a splash of concentrated lemon juice.
Okay. It's acceptable. Okay,
there's no garnish.
Hold on, let me go full screen. Show it again.
Yeah. There you go.
Oh, that's beautiful. It's cloudy. It's little milky. Everything you want in a vodka, right? No, wait, that's clarity and neutrality. Hold on.
Look, I got a little spritz of what's left of the ginger ale that I had in the fridge.
Of what smells like lemon. Hold on. Nope, that's pledge.
Hey, that would do the trick, though.
We've all been there.
But
we've
I didn't have enough
all made
ginger ale.
mistakes. Yeah.
Didn't quite have enough ginger ale, so a spritz of concentrate, lemon concentrate. So.
Yeah.
That's the stuff.
Anyway, Maingear. So I don't know much about the specs of ventilators, but 1.5 second power on time.
Yeah, they lay it out like it's a PC. This is what I really enjoy about this.
Yep. But this is a positive pressure ventilator, which means it doesn't let the lungs collapse, which is one thing that they were critical about the first batch of Tesla-made ventilators. Thank you. There's the word. I knew I'd find it. It is a positive pressure. There's no limit to the trigger. It does between 12 and 30 breaths per minute, and it is adjustable. That it's fully monitorable, and it looks like Maingear is pulling off one of the 7-inch LCDs off of one of their side cases, because they do have a case that has like an LCD touch panel built into the side that shows you your PC stats. And they're repurposing that screen to show you the vital stats from the ventilator. Nice. Which I think is pretty freaking cool.
That's pretty cool. I saw it and I was like, oh, they've developed an app for it. Nice.
Right. I'm not sure if that's a tablet-based system or if that's... it might be a tablet because it looks like there's a camera on top of there. So it may be tablet-based, it's all...
only runs on iPad.
Yeah, right. But no, pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
Did you watch the Tesla video of their ventilator setup, how they made that?
So I didn't watch the video, but I saw some pictures.
Mm-hmm. So they did, it's just a 4-minute video. It's nothing really long or extravagant. And it's basically them walking around their testing facility for the ventilator with an iPhone and passing the iPhone around. Okay, this guy's going to tell you more and whatnot. And so they're almost selfie styling, documenting this thing. So they took the infotainment system out of a Model 3 along with the 15-inch screen. And that is the main display and touch screen interface for it, as well as the infotainment computer. That's what's running the ventilator.
That's really cool.
So all the relays that would normally fire your HVAC system and your, turn on your lights and turn on your cruise control and everything else, that's now flipping relays for, activating the breath and adding pressure to the system and they have the air pressure monitor for your engines. It's now monitoring the air pressure inside the ventilator. It's like they just repurposed car sensors to get the same relevant data. that you would need out of a ventilator.
That's pretty cool. I mean, that's innovative. It's neat.
It's brilliant, and you know, I love watching stuff like that. I love watching. You know, it's why I got so hooked on Mythbusters. It's using tools and materials in a way they were never intended to be used. Right, is how they always put it. And what more true than that?
Yeah. Well, it really goes to show you in a pinch, like what really can be used for what. I mean, it's
right.
Like you said, it's kind of like that Apollo 13 moment, or you know, anybody who watched or read The Martian, you know, that's like what the character does the entire time. It's just like, oh, well, this was never meant to last this long, or this was never meant to do this.
Mark Watney is my hero.
Oh God, yeah. We're gonna science the shit out of this thing.
Luckily, I'm a botanist.
Got my wife to start reading the book, so we're been reliving it through her a little bit.
My favorite scene out of the movie was him going, so normally, like, to survive, like, you need to eat like a whole potato a day. Well, what they're telling me is to cut it in half and then cut it in half again and whatnot. And so he's like, so this is what I get to live on today. And he's like rationing all of his meals and whatnot. Well, he's getting near the end of his supply. And he goes, and today, and he like opens a ketchup packet and squirts it out. And he goes, I'm going to have my potato with some crushed up Vicodin, and there's no one here to tell me I can't.
I love that. That's one of my favorites, too. In the book, too, he does a lot of stuff. He's like, well, you know, NASA, they got their thing together, and they're trying to tell me. I can't remember the exact wording that he uses. But he's like, they got their thing taken. They're trying to tell me how to do this thing. And he goes, but they forgot one crucial detail. I'm the king of Mars, and I can do what I want. Right.
If you want to go really favorite, my favorite is the first two words in the book.
Oh, yeah. What's it? Like, I'm effed? Yeah. I'm effed. So, yeah.
Yeah.
That's my considered opinion.
Yeah, exactly. So good. So good. Great audiobook, too. Yeah. I didn't make it through the book, not through lack of effort, just through lack of time. Have you ever tried working a 50-hour job plus filming YouTube on nights and weekends with 2 kids and then trying to read a book before you go to bed at night?
Yeah, it doesn't leave a lot of time.
One of those has to fail.
Yeah, books are a reasonable one to have go bye-bye.
Yeah, I also no longer have a 40-minute commute. It's 12 minutes to drive to work now. And so so all of a sudden my audiobooks are shot too. It's like, no!
Hey, that's still 24 minutes of audiobooks a day.
It is. You can get through it.
Not very much time to get lost in it, but
yeah, exactly. So yeah, before it was sports talk radio in the fall and winter and spring, and then it was audiobooks in the summer. Audiobooks are top down and music was my jam in the summer. But now it's like, do I even want to take the top down? Because then I got to wait 30 seconds for the top to come back up when I get home. And who has that kind of time?
Exactly. Nobody.
Well, this guy, because I drop the top every day that I can. 52, and I don't think those clouds are going to rain.
Yeah.
I've been wrong. I've been wrong. The best one was I left work one day. And this was still when it was a 40-minute commute. I left work one day, and it was blue sky and beautiful. And I'm looking all around. You're scanning the horizon for any gray clouds. And if there's any gray clouds and you drive a convertible, top is up. I'm scanning the horizon. It's blue sky and just white puffies all around. And I'm like, I'm good. Drop the top. It's 78 degrees. It's a good-looking day. Get in the car. I drive 5 minutes down the road, and it is a torrential downpour. Out of absolutely nowhere.
Yeah.
And I'm also 6'5". I'm not a short stature person. And when I drove my MR2 Spider, I could actually hunch down a little bit, and if I got caught in the rain, it would just go right over my head. In my Z car, the wind hits me right about here. No matter where I sit in the car, it hits me right about here. Wind deflector up, deflector down, doesn't matter. I'm getting hit right about here. And it's normally very, very comfortable. But on that particular day with torrential downpour, the water is literally shooting into my face at about 60 miles an hour. and it literally looked like I got out of the shower, but my clothes were dry when I got home.
I love it.
Because it's like, okay, must go faster, try to go faster. Ow, now it hurts! It was wonderful. Novella Hub, hopefully your full-time job will settle down and we can get more videos. That's kind of what I'm hoping. I'm hoping we'll kind of land in a groove and I can go back to just like maintenance and support, which is usually my main job, or rather maintenance and then telling other people to go support people. But I'm hoping I can, crank out maybe an extra video or two a week. I do have one already shot in the pipeline. It was actually shot before the video that got posted today. I just ran out of time editing. I got about halfway through and then I went, crap, this one has to get done today because today's the embargo date. So I was actually up till 2:30 in the morning this morning editing that video. So go watch that video, dang it. I put effort into that. And I had jokes in there, and Fractal liked my jokes, which is always worrying when you make fun of a company in their review videos.
I don't know why, but I was really impressed with how you poured that beer without looking into the glass once. Right? Isn't that the Fractal video, the coffee beer?
Yes, the coffee beer. Yeah.
Yeah. You're like, for when you need your coffee in the morning, and you just stare into the camera as you pour.
And you know what's really fun about that glass? That was actually a Nitro Beer, and so I finished it by actually doing the full tilt. And I actually never broke eye contact the whole time, but you have to time the intro. Like you can have a 1 second, 1 or 1.25 second staring at the camera, and it's not awkward. If it goes 1.5, the audience will turn the video off because all of a sudden you're that creepy guy. And so the videography is all about timing. And so I actually had that thing going for quite a while, and I poured the entire beer without looking. Yeah. But it's also a Nitro Beer, so it builds a really good head. And that was a 12-ounce beer into a 14-ounce glass, and it actually came to the rim and then settled. It was like a perfect pour.
It was impressive.
Anyway, thank you for the $5 donation, Novella Hub. I really appreciate it. Half of the beer in my fridge is from you.
Oh, nice.
So he has kept me well stocked over these last couple of months.
Wow.
And Sakura says thanks, Craft. Says thanks, Craft. I feel short now. Not all of us can be perfect. Sorry.
Yeah.
I feel you, man. 5'8" here. You sound like me in my RX-7 drop top. Oh, I wish I had an RX-7 drop top. I owned an RX-7 for all of 10 days. I have owned an RX-7, and it was an 85 anniversary edition RX-7 with the silver band on top. 13B engine. It was a beautiful car, perfectly straight body, but the guy before me who owned it thought he was an electrician. And so you pop the hood, and it was nothing but twist caps for all the electrical work. No clean runs on anything. It ran like absolute garbage. That was the car that I learned if you're going to test drive a car, drive it faster than 30 miles an hour. Because I just got in the car, went around the block, and went, oh yeah, it runs great. And it was already running when I got there, which should have been a sign. Because I got 5 minutes down the road, and all of a sudden the car just died on me in the middle of the road. What happened to it? Basically, the alternator was not charging the battery. The battery had no charge at all to it. So I came to a dead stop in the middle of a freeway. And I'm trying to start the car, and it like kind of wants to crank, where you get that but really nothing was turning. I looked behind me, and there's a state cop behind me already with his lights on. I was like, oh crap, okay, it's fine. I bought the car 5 minutes ago. I got a bill of sale. I did this all above board. And he walks up to the window, and I'm in the middle of the road, mind you. He goes, what's going on? And I said, my car just died in the middle of the road. I'm just trying to get it started. And he goes, okay, well, you came over to the middle lane without a blinker on. And I said, yeah, because my car died. I was just trying to get out of the way of traffic. So we're in the middle of a 5-lane highway. Two in each direction. A highway, not a freeway. He points like a block down the road and says, can we push you over there? And I said, yeah, that's totally fine with me. I want you guys to be safe. I want to be safe. Let's do this right. So he starts pushing me, and it's him and his partner, and they're pushing me down the road. And they went, now don't take off on me. And he was dead serious. As if he was going to bunny jump my car, and I was going to try to outrun, a Crown Vic 5.0 with my, crapped out half a Rotor RX-7.
I feel like in those situations, it's like it's the guy that has the least sense of humor ever, the one that finds you.
And by the way, I was actually dressed fairly nice. I was in a nice button-down shirt. I was yes sir, no sir, thank you sir kind of thing, and whatnot. And he asked to see my insurance, and I handed him the bill of sale, and I said, I literally bought the car 5 minutes ago. So here's the bill of sale. Here's my license. I don't have my insurance card with me because my wife was actually following me behind me, and he wrote me a ticket for no proof of insurance. With two clearly different signatures and timestamps and everything, he wrote me a ticket for no proof of insurance. He pushed me into a fire lane and had me stop there. And he goes, I'm gonna let you go on the fact that you're parked on a yellow curb. I went, you literally pushed me here.
Oh man, that's like the white guy equivalent of like the Dave Chappelle thing. Like, oh, I've seen this before. Let's sprinkle some crack on him and get out of here.
Yeah. I felt like I was in the Chris Rock "How Not to Get Your Ass Beat by the Police." That's what that one felt like.
It seriously feels like that. Oh man, I love that. They push you there. They're like, well, you shouldn't have been here.
Right.
Come on.
Not my problem now. It's your car. Right. It was that guy.
Yeah.
So I drove down, literally placed my insurance card on the desk in front of the judge, and she went, go home.
Yeah. Thank you. Ridiculous. You can blame the officer for wasting your time, Your Honor.
Yeah. So anyway, the reason I owned that RX-7 for 10 days is, number one, there was no electrical system in it whatsoever. None of the lights worked. None of the blinkers worked. It didn't charge. It didn't do anything. Even I went and bought a new battery, and it still wouldn't do anything. So there was likely a bad ground on the alternator, but I didn't really want to dig into it. But I got the car up to 50 miles an hour, and the CV joints on the front were so bad, the car was literally going ching, 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 like changing lanes without me touching it. It was terrible and frightening. Right.
Well, at least you got out from under it.
I did. I bought it for $400 and I sold it for $600.
Nice.
That's a net profit.
Well done.
Yeah, I wasn't too disappointed in that. Of course, I did have to drive back down to court. It was in another county. It's the only thing that sucked about it.
Yeah. You probably could have submitted your evidence via the mail, but sometimes that's like more hassle.
It really was. I say it was the next county. It was the next county down.
Oh, gotcha. See, I get pulled over a lot really far away from home and get lots of tickets really far from home, so I'm very used to like calling the courthouse and sending in evidence via mail and stuff. It's like, okay, I guess I won't drive back to, I don't know what, Seattle or Medford was one of them. It's like
Regan Lyle, Jeff the Shrewd Negotiator. I actually do have a story that is probably VinWiki worthy. From my 82 Ford Escort. So tell you what, let's get into some more news and we'll probably circle back around to that story and I'll tell you after we circle back. So Regan, remind me of that, of the Shrewd Negotiator.
Never. He's gone. Just kidding.
Yeah. Did you have to pay the no insurance? No, I literally put my insurance card on the judge's desk. And I was literally at month 3 of 6 of my coverage. And she goes, why are you even in here? I said, I asked the officer the same thing, ma'am. Like, I had coverage. Here's the bill of sale. Here's the insurance card. I didn't have the card with me, but I have 30 days to register it as per Oregon state law. I know my rights.
This is dangerous conversational territory for me.
Yeah, it really is. Oh, I have some doozy car stories. I really do. But I have one in particular that it's probably VinWiki worthy. Not from like the exotic car side, but like the $300 beater. I've got a good one. So remind me of that and I'll tell it when we circle back. Anyway, we actually have some tech news to get to. Just an hour into the show.
Just 58 minutes. Come
58 minutes in. Well, you were 3 minutes late, to be fair.
See? So, okay. So you're right. You're 100%.
I didn't realize Hops and Brews was on this week.
Yeah. Well, you know. Working from home, buddy. What do you want?
This is what you get.
Yeah. You're lucky I'm even wearing clothes.
All right. And speaking of my wonderful wife, here's actually my masks. So she made me a Breath of the Wild, or not Breath of the Wild, Wind Waker.
Yeah.
Zelda mask. And I've also got a plaid Star Wars mask.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah.
That's legit.
Yeah. So if I want to be a rebel, I go, face stage left. If I want to be Imperial, I go face stage right.
Fair enough. Nice.
Yep. Yeah. So, she knocked out, like I said, 40 of those yesterday. So.
Wow. Well, make sure to thank her from all of us.
Rhett says thank you. Just for doing what you do.
Oh.
It's important.
Close to being done. I cut 40
See,
of them. I spent all day yesterday, and that's all I did was cut.
I know.
It's CDC guideline now to wear a mask out in public, so she's doing a public service, honestly.
That's exactly right. Actually, she's cutting masks for basically everyone in our family, and she's mailing them around the country.
Nice. Good.
So she made 40 of them yesterday. I think she's going to do as many more as she can. So I've got a couple here because I've been doing all the grocery shopping and going out lately. Yeah. So interesting times we live in, man.
Yes.
Interesting times.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's get into a little bit of Intel news.
Let's do it.
So, unfortunately, there's not a lot of substance here because, well, there's not a lot of things we can talk about 10th gen Intel, which is actually 6th gen Intel that they just crammed a little bit tighter but didn't actually shrink their fab. So 10th generation Comet Lake S CPUs are reportedly coming at the end of this month, and judging by several leaked promotional slides, they should be the best Skylake refinement the company can make before moving on to a new architecture step. Which I just love the phrasing of that.
Yeah.
Because it goes back to, this is the best 6th generation chip we have made yet. Yeah. It's just, it's everything that we've been saying. It's we had 22 nanometer, then we had 18 nanometer, then we had 14 nanometer, and then we had 14 nanometer, and then we had 14 nanometer, and then we had 14 nanometer. Plus. I think Fractal's going to go that same way. I think eventually we're going to get the Celsius plus. Pretty sure.
Hey.
Pretty sure.
Don't knock Fractal.
That was the joke that I made in the video. And what's great is go look at the pinned comment in that video. Now they started making fun of themselves. They said, thank God it wasn't longer. We would have named it the hyper...
Hey, I liked that comment. Last time I checked, I was the only one that liked it.
Yeah, it was great. And I love it when a company is self-aware. And I love it when they have a good sense of humor about things. Because honestly, that was one of the only bad things I could say about it. That was within their control. It's a solid cooler, but that name it just does not roll off the tongue all that well. It's the Fractal Design Celsius Plus S24 Prisma. You would not believe the number of times I said Celsius Plus, yes, because you want to get into that S again, because it's the Celsius plus S24. And so one of my information slides actually said Celsius yes plus 24 yes.
I love on that pinned comment from Fractal. Romnipotent goes on. He's like, it's not that long. Kraft just insists on tracking more words onto everything. Chiefly, you should be calling it the Fractal Designs Mighty Fine Fractal Josh's Special Release Re-Kelvin Reducer Celsius SSSS24 plus P Prismatic Recombinator Super Confluence Lightning Designator Supreme Beats by Dre. I don't know why, but something about that just made me laugh really hard. So,
what's really funny is all three of the comments. So Fractal's original, my rebuttal, which was twice as long as theirs was, and then Romnipotence. No one ever says the word gaming. How did none of us put gaming into the title of a PC component? I don't understand how that got missed.
I love it.
Like, at least get like a Gaming X in there or something, you know?
Yeah.
Gaming Z. But anyway, so yeah, 10th gen Intel, still 14 nanometer, all new socket. So you're going to have to buy all new LGA 1200 sockets, which ironically enough still use an 1150 mount. Because there's no way we possibly could have fit this much power into an 1150 base socket. Your only justification to that might have been moving from DDR3 to DDR4. Since you've been in DDR4, you have no excuse to have changed sockets. You have absolutely none.
Dude.
Your business plan was to sell CPUs and motherboards all at the same time.
Well, it's the only way they can make up that market share.
Right. And if they just admitted it, I'd be fine. But the fact that they tell us it's not possible, and then people are running a 9900K on an H110 motherboard and the VRMs aren't overheating, someone's lying, and one of us has proof. Anyway, as expected, the i9 10900K, and I will never, ever like that name. Like Fractal, I gave you a bad time. Intel's reckoning is coming, my friends. The i9 10900K seems to be a 10-core processor. Who would have thought they could have squeezed 2 extra cores in there with a base clock of 3.7 gigahertz and an ability to boost to up to 5.3 gigahertz using Intel's thermal velocity boost technology.
One thing I've been thinking of since, obviously like Intel is one of the big kind of employers here in Oregon, with everything going on, like how drastically is their production going to be hit? Is there any projections on that we know of, or?
They are still operating. They are still operating their fabs here in Oregon. And in fact, there's been a little bit of controversy about that because not only are they still running their fabs, they have employees who have tested positive for COVID-19 in the factory, in their workforce. And they're still business as usual.
I wonder because, my uncle used to work the line out there. And, the big thing was to get to your spot, like you got to suit up, you got to put on your freaking suit, your booties, your mask, all this type of stuff. It's like, I wonder, it's like, oh, well, we got built-in PPE, on the fab line.
Right.
Or like, what is it? I don't know. That's crazy because it just doesn't seem logical like that. They employ so many people and they're around the clock production.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like, it just doesn't seem like a safe option to me, but I don't know. I was just curious, because it's like we see natural disasters and things like that take a toll on the supply chain of computer manufacturing. Like, what is going to be the toll on the supply chain from this? I don't know. I haven't read into it too much. I'm trying to stay positive, so.
I hear you there on the trying to stay positive about supply chain and everything else. In the state of Oregon, we were running into situations. Oregon has a lot of rural trucking routes. Now, Oregon is a fairly large state. We're not certainly not tiny by any means. I think we're the 8th largest, if I'm not mistaken, eighth or 7th or something like that. Because obviously you've got Texas, then you have Alaska, then you have Texas again. But right. Oregon is a pretty big landmass, and of the 4.1 million people that live in Oregon, 3.5 of them live in what we call the Willamette Valley, in the little narrow I-5 corridor between Eugene and Portland.
Yeah.
Like 90 miles of freeway. That's where everyone lives.
Yeah, and it's only like, what, 30 miles wide or something?
Yeah.
It's not much.
85% of Oregon's population lives 20 minutes or less away from I-5.
Yeah. Oh, easily, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy when you put the numbers like that. Either I-5 or 205, because 205 also shoots off to the right there.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
But yeah, it's kind of crazy when you think of that population mass in that much land. But Oregon's been having some problems with supply chain lately because the rest areas and truck stops are not getting sanitized. And so the state police have been closing them on some of the rural routes. And if you're a trucking company coming from Montana, Idaho, and then into Oregon, you better be driving like 14 hours straight, because there's literally not a place to stop and eat. There's not a place to go to the bathroom, because Oregon State Police are closing a lot of them.
Well, and see, to me, this just it made sense what they should have done. And this is just a problem of like lack of, I don't want to say lack of leadership, because Oregon has had some stronger leadership than most places, luckily, but the tough call would be close truck stops to anybody but truckers. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like, no, that was the big problem. Like, I know kind of some of the truck stops close to where you and I live is that people were rushing them for supplies when supplies started getting low at all the grocery stores and stuff in town.
Mm-hmm.
Because truck stops, believe it or not, have a little bit of everything that you're going to need, because they're catering to people that live on the road, you know?
Right.
So you're going to have toilet paper, and you're going to have like small kind of grocery bits and things like that. Mm-hmm. And they were just getting cleaned out, and people were going there and even using the showers and things like that, like stuff that typically only truckers or people on the road are using, all of a sudden are being just trashed by locals, you know? And it might have been that if we just shut that down to locals and kept it only truckers, like we probably wouldn't have run into this problem. But I don't know. Hindsight's 2020. It's tough to make the right call in all this situation as it stands.
Yeah. Gas stations should still be open, right? Yes, gas stations are still open. In fact, Oregon lifted the ban on pumping your own gas. We are one of 2 states that you still cannot pump your own gas, and they lifted that restriction for fear of COVID, for fear of interaction with a person at the pump.
Yeah, and so it's not even that all gas stations are unmanned. It's just that I think that if people need to stay home being sick and you go to a gas station, there's nobody to man the pump for you. You're welcome to do it yourself now, or you're also even welcome to ask to do it yourself.
Right.
It seems a little bit janky to like touch a gas pump that everybody else is touching, but
right.
You know, I don't know. At least that was my thought on the whole thing. But again, it's just strange times, so we're like taking a lot of unorthodox approaches to things. I'm not against the idea of being able to do it. Mm-hmm. Rural counties, I think they changed the rule a couple years ago that if you had less than 20,000 residents in your county, you did not have to have an attendant pump gas for you. So that's most counties in Oregon.
Yeah, that's the majority of them.
You know, but
yeah, you've got what? Lane, Lincoln, Polk, Marion, Multnomah, Washington, Clackamas, and I think that's the end of the list.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe Douglas County has more than 20,000. I'm trying to think of some of the
Yamhill
southern
probably
Oregon
too, because Newburgh's in Yamhill.
Yeah, Yamhill. Okay, Yamhill. I always forget about Yamhill. I always forget they're not Washington County. But
yeah, it's hard to name our counties, honestly.
Right. We have some weird ass counties, especially when you get out east.
Oh God, yeah. Umatilla County.
Yep.
Josephine County.
Yeah, my dad actually just moved to John Day, Oregon.
Nice.
Yep. Yeah, he moved from a town of 2,200 people to a town of 900 people.
Yeah. Dude, John Day's legit. I love it out there. My dad used to live on a ranch out there.
I've only been out there a couple times. We've been out to Mount Vernon, John Day, all those areas out there. Beautiful area, absolutely beautiful.
I love it. Yeah, summertime, that's the place to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. This whole everything with the whole leadership thing is kind of like a damned if you do, damned if you don't type thing. If you remember, the governor a couple days ago or maybe a week ago sent 140 ventilators to New York, because it seems as though Oregon is like whooping some serious ass. We're
doing okay. We're not on the exponential growth. We're still at the 1-to-1 growth.
Yeah.
We're growing by about 100 cases a day.
We're doing what we can, and it's looking. And they're saying if we continue to maintain,
but we're also only testing if you've been admitted to the hospital or are near admittance to the hospital.
There's a lot that goes into it, and it's really, really important that you don't read into it and decide, hey, that means I can go do whatever I want. No, like continue doing what you're doing because that's what's working.
Right.
Even if it's only kind of on the paper, the paper that we know about.
Yeah.
But it's like everyone's like, no, we should have kept those ventilators. But on the other hand, it's like, well, if we keep doing what we're doing, we're never going to need them.
Right.
Like we're doing better than expected. We were aggressive enough soon enough. And, it's I think we're using like 100 ventilators total, and we had like 700 or something like that.
Yeah, there's,
So
I think the last stat that I saw is we have 170 hospitalized, and I think 95 of them are on ventilators or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's like, God forbid that if we keep doing what we're doing, we're not going to need 700 ventilators. So let's send it to the people that freaking need the dang stuff. So.
Right. Yeah. El Polo Diablo, Steve. You all know Steve. Full service still isn't here in Oregon. It's just gas pumping. If you want the windshield cleaned, you have to do it yourself, and that's true of probably most gas stations in Oregon. It's kind of a double-edged sword because. In other states, I've seen full-service gas stations. You pull up, you hand them your card, you say fill with regular or premium or whatever you're getting, and they wash your windshield and they'll they wash the back window and they say, do you want me to check your oil? And they do all that other stuff, and it's like, oh, cool. In Oregon, you pull up and you say fill regular, and he literally sticks the pump in, pulls the trigger, and then walks to get the next guy. And so if you want to wash the window, if you want the windows washed, they have squeegees that are in the stall, so you can get out of your car and you can wash your own windshield.
The town that I grew up in, Mount Angel, our gas station's full service.
There's also the Shell station in Hubbard. Anytime I drive through there, I will stop there and I will buy gas because they don't advertise that they're full service. But if you pull up, they will wash your windshield. They will have a good chat with you, and they're cheaper than the Arco across the street. So.
Yeah, that's the one thing I think I remember talking to him one time because I think I was like really broke and I rolled up and I was like, "Yo, can I get $8.50 of gas or something?" And I was like, "Hey, and also can you check my oil and do it, blah blah blah?" And they're like, "Okay, I'll do it, but like." We're only supposed to do it if you fill.
Right.
Like he was like, it costs us money at a certain point. And so, you fill, kind of pays for that service. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And plus, you're looking at a small town gas station, you may as well buy gas there too, because otherwise that gas station is going to go away and all of a sudden you're driving 25 miles to go get gas somewhere.
I just moved out of a town that didn't have a gas station within 8 miles of it.
Well,
not quite eight. Not quite eight.
You got
I'll take
the
that
truck
back.
stop right down the road.
We got the truck stop. That was only 6.
Was that 6 miles away? Good Lord.
It's 6 miles to the truck stop.
That's
and
lengthy.
then there was kind of that gas station that was really sketchy about 1.5 miles outside of town. But then I got to go all the way into the other town to get actual gas and not fear for my life.
Yeah.
Like there's the sketchy one that has a different owner every 2 months.
Yeah. There was a one right there in Woodburn, right as you were coming in, but
yeah.
Still, that's probably like 4 miles, maybe.
Right. Yeah. It wasn't close.
Yeah. Oh well, should we get back into some news here?
Yeah. Let's jump back into news here. Someone asked how cheap the gas is in Oregon. Actually, we're usually cheaper than California, and shockingly enough, California you have to pump your own gas.
Yeah.
We're also cheaper than Washington.
Right. That's one thing that people talk about all the time. That they've run studies on this, and taking away our gas attendants and forcing us to pump our own gas does not actually make our gas cheaper. And on top of that, like people always kind of complain because our gas is a little bit more expensive than some places, but we tax
Like
the crap out of
Oklahoma,
it.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think I can't remember one place. We generally have cheap gas, and right now our gas is like two. Like I think I filled up the other day, like for $2.13 a gallon or something like that.
Well. Right now, you can't really say we have cheap gas because places in Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and that area
Yeah.
are like 89 cents a gallon because
Yeah.
no one's driving anywhere.
Yeah, and not only that, but like the market was flooded with gas like right before everybody started staying in.
Yeah.
I remember like they were saying a barrel of gas before people started shutting in got down to like $10 or something like that, or a barrel of crude oil or whatever.
Yeah, when
that
we were
would be
paying
refined into
65 and
gas.
70, right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
But the other thing is like Oregon has some of the best paved roads that I've driven on personally.
Yes.
And it's like I remember going to like Massachusetts or something like that, and I think the gas might have been a little bit cheaper than it was in Oregon, but it was like the road sucked, man. It was like you're swerving around, like avoiding potholes. Or
God, Arkansas is one of the worst places I've ever driven in my life.
Yeah, it's like I'm happy to pay a little bit extra to make sure that our freaking roads don't suck.
Shockingly enough, one of the best roads that I've ever driven on was actually in Wisconsin. I didn't encounter a bad road in Wisconsin.
Nice.
And that was weird.
It's kind of like rural states a little bit,
Right. So I mean, even in Oregon, we'll get the sketchy road occasionally, and the road I have to take to work at times has been a little bit rough over the last 13, 14 years that I've been working there. Yeah. Like we had a really bad snowstorm one year, and it froze and thawed and froze and thawed and froze and thawed, and all of a sudden it just cratered out and everything. But within 2 years, they fixed everything.
Oh yeah.
Man,
that was crazy watching those roads just get destroyed like in a matter of days.
Yeah,
it was so crazy.
Yeah, the highways in Oklahoma were pretty good as well, but as soon as you get off the main highways, oh man, it got.
And it's all county to county. Like our roads are maintained by county, so it's like it really depends on where you are. Like the big joke was, because I kind of grew up near the border of Clackamas County and Marion County, and it's like, man, you're in the backcountry farming roads in Marion County, and the roads are gorgeous, man. They're smooth. You fly down these country roads going highway speeds, not a problem. But then the moment that you hit Clackamas, man, you better pump the brakes because you're gonna hit a huge pothole.
Oh God, Marion County roads are the absolute best. And in fact, out towards Mount Angel, I found my new favorite road.
Oh yeah, what's that?
I can't tell you the name of it because it'd get a little too specific, but I got to drive you on that one day.
Oh, dude, I grew up on those roads. I'm sure I know exactly where you are. So we'll talk after.
Yeah, we'll talk after. But it is my favorite road that I have ever driven.
One of my favorites out there is. I won't say the actual road name, but they started nicknaming it the end of the world hill. And
oh yeah. No, I know where
you're at. And just plummets. Yeah.
Also,
if you don't press the brake, you bottom out at the bottom.
yeah. No, Wilsonville, right?
No, well, a little bit closer than that. A little bit.
Okay, because Wilsonville has Oh Shit Hill.
Yeah. Yeah, true. And then Silverton's got like Danger Hill and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
This is the one I'm talking about is a backcountry road, and it's kind of I won't get too specific, but it's kind of out between like Molalla, Woodburn area.
Yeah. Okay, I know what road you're on. That one's also fun. I drove that in the MR2. I never drove it in the Z, but I had to come home Mount Angel way one day. And traffic was horrible. It was a day that there was a wreck on I-5 and 99 both. Yeah. And so everything was at a standstill. So you're trying to find the only country road that like connects to a couple major cities. And I found one road in particular, and oh my God, it weaves around a quarry and has these perfectly banked corners coming in. And so good. Anyway, we have a couple more stories to get to, believe it or not.
Yeah, we do. It's a slow news week, but by
golly,
it's
only 9:20. It's only 9:20. Exactly. We're doing all right. Moving on. So Twitch has finally clarified their confusing nudity and attire guidelines. Cleavage is allowed, but streamers can't be fully or partially nude.
must cover the area extending from your hips to the bottom of your pelvis and buttocks.
Yes.
Those-
No side cheek shots. No
Right.
side cheeks.
And now this is some carefully crafted lingo here. Those presenting as women must cover their nipples and can't expose the underside of their breasts. However, cleavage is unrestricted as long as those requirements are met. So swimsuits, breastfeeding, and body painting are also allowed, provided that the genitals,
Genitals?
yes, the genitals. They
The
are
genitals. The gentle
Greetings,
genitals.
ladies and genitals. Provided that the genitals and nipples for women are not visible. So there you go. There's no grace period. It goes into effect immediately.
I'm still trying to be PC here, but I want to be contrarian. What if I identify as a man?
It says if you present. So I'm not sure it matters how you identify.
Does that mean physical features, or does that mean I present myself as a man, and here happens to be a nipple?
I don't know.
And again, I'm keeping this as family friendly as possible, but
Yeah.
you can be politically correct, or you can be, which side of the fence are they going to jump on? I don't know.
I think that if you have anything on your torso that makes breast cleavage, they might say that you are presenting as a woman. I really don't know. And again, it's kind of like a weird fine line to walk because it's like they're trying to come up with like family friendly like nudity rules.
I have some guy friends who have larger moobs than some of my girlfriends.
Yeah. Again, I think that a woman, a natural born woman or whatever, could theoretically not present as a woman if she.
By this language, as long as you don't present as a woman, nipples are okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. It says like flat out, like.
I mean, it's still a gray area.
It absolutely is a gray area. And I am not the one to dissect this and take this on live on your channel.
I know.
But
you can tell it's a slow news week because I still put this story in the notes. And I didn't really want to talk about it, but when you only have 3 other articles, you have to add a 4th.
Yeah. Well, and this one stirs up a lot of conversation. Yeah.
We recommend creators wear the attire that would be publicly appropriate for context, location, and activity, while also adding, quote, attire intended to be sexually suggestive, end quote, was not allowed.
There you go. I mean, I think it says a lot that they're saying that, like, look, we don't really want nudity, but, like, if you're going to breastfeed a baby, that's allowed. If you're doing art and, like, painting bodies stuff, like, that's allowed. So it's clear that they tried to put some thought and some care into it. They're not just trying to screw people over.
At the same time, they know where their money is at. They know why the donations pour in for some of these personalities.
Yeah, sure. But, like, there's other places you can stream that type of content. Like,
there totally is.
Like Pornhub allows for live streaming.
It has shocked me that Pornhub has not gotten more involved with game streaming and content creation outside of pornography. It has actually shocked me because they're one of the few entities that could compete with YouTube if they chose to.
Yeah,
but they haven't
the
chosen to.
for it.
Right. They absolutely have the infrastructure, the ability, and the reach to do that. And they've just chosen not to.
Right. They obviously have the means to go about doing this the right way, but obviously, like, part of it is like you don't want to like log on to your PlayStation or whatever, and you're like, all right, I'm gonna watch some games, and you log onto your Pornhub app or whatever, and you're like, people are like, what are you doing? You know,
Right. I'm not saying Pornhub proper. I'm saying
right. But you got Game Hub.
Whatever the videos are hosted on, I don't think it matters.
No, it doesn't. I'm just telling you, like, I feel like that's part of the stigma at first.
You realize they also own like RedTube and a couple, like.
No, I get it. I'm just saying, like, there, obviously, like, there's this weird stigma logging on to some service that, like, even if it was like, again, I think if they just did like Game Hub or U-Hub, or
I think you would need to completely disassociate porn from game.
Right.
I don't think you can just say, Beer Hub, and all of a sudden people are on board who just like beer but don't like porn.
Right.
And I certainly don't think Game Hub would be an acceptable thing using the same font and logo.
Right, exactly. Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. And it's like, and then how do you launch that service to the success that it needs to meet quickly, without being like Pornhub presents, video game streaming streamlined from us to you or whatever. I don't know,
Right.
It's like, I don't know. It's a tricky thing. I think that they should do it. I think the world would be a better place if they did do it. I mean, a lot of people have moved content that isn't allowed on YouTube and Twitch to Pornhub already, and it is generally safe for work content.
One community that I actually watched a lot of on YouTube was air gunners.
Right. Yeah.
So not firearms, but air guns. So BB guns, pellet guns, pre-charged pneumatics, that kind of thing. I love target shooting. It's something that I love to do, and it's a big reason of why I am a gun owner is I like the sport of target shooting. I do own guns, but I like being able to shoot a pellet gun in my backyard. Yeah. There were quite a few different YouTube channels that in the great gun apocalypse of YouTube, where all of a sudden anything gun related was being like demonetized, banned, excommunicated, not sponsored, etc. There were a number of channels that really suffered from that really shouldn't have. I'm a huge fan of Ted's Holdover and even Hickok 45, and there's a number of channels that I watched a lot of when they were very popular on YouTube, and all of a sudden I noticed they weren't showing up in my subscription feeds anymore, and so I started looking at them, and all of a sudden all of them had a video about YouTube. Is all of a sudden I went from 1 million views a month to 25,000. Producing the same content that I always did, and it's because YouTube doesn't want us on their site anymore. They'll let us post, but we can't monetize it, and we're not being promoted anymore.
Yeah, and it's a tough call, and it's like I don't know. I don't pretend to know what's wrong or right there, but like YouTube, was like attacked by a person with a gun at one point, so it's like you can kind of understand maybe where they're coming from. Is it the right decision? I'm not qualified to say. I have no idea. But though a lot of those people, they found a home on Pornhub, and if Pornhub found a way to like host them and find a home for them that like wasn't next to like watching step sibling porn or something like that, then it might be like a really successful home for some of these kind of like YouTube outsiders, and even Twitch outsiders, like we're talking about. Like we got talking about these game streams and stuff, and it's. The people that are making kind of those big super chat money dressed like that, like they do just as well in other places like Patreon and Snapchat than they do on Twitch. And Twitch is just one other place, you can stream your game or whatever. But
I have a Whiskey Tribe shirt and I've made $5 today. Come on, donate. I want to drink more whiskey. Come on.
Take your shirt off, dude. Come on. What are you doing? Your nips are allowed, bro.
Right. My nips are totally PG.
Mine
totally
too.
PG.
Can I say?
I drank whiskey because it was some kid's birthday today. Like, come on.
See, also, I could have just come to work this evening with you in my skivvies, kept from my hips down to my lower buttocks area covered. Good to go.
You're totally covered, my man. Welcome to the stream.
I noticed that, when I signed on for craft computing, that there wasn't like a strict dress code, dude. So like, I'm gonna have to show up in my skivvies from now on, dude.
I was really irritated because I had to go into my main office today because we had a client that had lost their entire BGP connection. They had so if you're a networking guy, the lights were on but no one was home. Where we had link lights but we lost our BGP, and so I had to troubleshoot that. And I had to drive into work to do it, and I was really irritated because it's the first time in 9 days that I've had to put shoes on.
Yeah,
I've been in my slippers, and I showed up, and our CEO happens to be there. There was a CEO and one other guy, and I'm like, I had to put shoes on. God damn you!
That sucks.
Custom PC Gamer, $1.99. My name is Jameson, so take a shot from me, my dude. Right. Let me think about it. Another bit of Jameson, 18 to keep over me. Oh, if John says it, if John J says it, since he's drinking Jameson, I might pour myself with another little, half finger here or something.
I'm glad it's about the Jameson because, see, right before Steve was saying, like, yo, bring in the super chats and Rhett will take his shirt off. And I said, I'll do it. And then 2 super chats came in. I was like, oh, God. What did I get myself into?
So we're gonna make this official. So here's the Jameson 18. It's going
Go ahead
in.
and pour me one.
You know what? I just might do that this time. Pour you just a little extra. There you go. I got a full finger on that.
There you go. Nice. Yeah.
So I was doing half fingers. I got a full finger in there now. So.
I appreciate that. I appreciate when you give me the full finger.
I was trying to lead there and you beat me to it, and now I'm just ticked off.
Oh, hey, you're giving me that full finger, but when we're doing the stream digitally, get it? Digits? All right, I'll go home.
This episode of Craft Computing demonetized by Rhett is awesome. Kind of the opposite sponsorship that I was looking for, if I'm being honest.
Well, what can I say? When are we getting our wall of MBs?
Wall of motherboards.
Wall of motherboards.
Yeah. It's been done. I kind of like the speakeasy feel that I have. I really do. I like this camera angle. I like the feel of my studio.
We worked really hard on that.
We did. Oh, really? Rhett built, at least 20% of this wall.
I did a lot of just making sure it was locked in place while you did the work.
I went, can you hold this? And he goes, yeah. And I went, pata, pata, pata. Okay, can you cut this one? Never mind, you screwed up last time. I'll do it.
I did screw up. I had to subject myself to a litany of jokes about length and measurements. So
yes.
That was great.
Rhett came up short in a number of ways.
Let's just say I'm easily confused about what an inch looks like.
Usually that's the wife's joke is no wonder it's short. He's been telling me it's 8 inches for years. And suddenly we're PG-13. Oh God, this is so good.
Well, we're clearly talking about my fishing trips.
Yes. So. Yeah. I swear this is legal.
Yes, officer. This is completely within legal limits.
Careful.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Skull says, Red is awesome. Craft computing, not quite. Whiskey Tribe, magnificent bastards. Do you realize that's why I have this shirt? I haven't been called a magnificent bastard, but God, I would love to do something with them someday. I do want to do like a YouTube tour eventually, where I go around to like the drinking channels as like the tech representative, the liaison, as it were. I would love to do that. Go check out Greg, How to Drink, Educated Barfly, Whiskey Tribe, Cocktail Chemistry. Hit them all up. Who else you got? Oh, God, that's good.
Yeah, I guess you got Hobson Bruce?
I've been on his channel. That was when I was small time. You know, I'm looking for the big fish these days.
My buddy started a beer review podcast, and not to throw serious shade or whatever, but some of their reviews and stuff are already a little better than Hops and Brews. It's just a podcast, it's just audio, but
so it's a podcast. So I'm assuming it's all pumpkin beer.
No, but I think they did do a pumpkin beer. I don't remember. They did Pelican the other day.
Market Zero says late to the stream, but pouring myself some Jack and Coke.
Welcome.
That's totally acceptable. Had to get a 20-year-old Speyside sherry cask finished. Ooh.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
See, when I went into isolation, I thought, well, I got this much money. I should get as much booze as I can.
That's right. Skull wants to know when we get our own wall for liquid donations. Honestly, when they start flowing in on a regular basis. Did you know that these shelves behind me are actually wine bottle holders? I put wood shelves on top of them, but if you guys want to fill those up with like liquors, you could send liquor to me, and all the trinkets will be gone, and I'll just have liquor on the shelf. Like that's how that works.
And then we can roll the thank you credits after the show.
Mm-hmm.
For whose liquor made the cut that week.
Who's fueling craft computing this week? I'd be totally up for that.
Ooh. Craft computing is fueled by...
Right, and the higher shelf you send me, the longer your name is on that list, because it's going to be the slower I drink that bottle. So there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Coming up with all the best ideas.
I mean, you send me some Seagram 7, I go through that crap like it's Kool-Aid. But, you send me a Jameson 18-year or, a nice 20-year Speyside, sherry-aged. Yeah. You're going to be on that list for a while, my friend.
Poured a glass of Seagram 7 Crown the other day. And
Custom PC says, it's legal to send liquor. Interesting question. I cannot officially say it is legal to send liquor. There is one carrier who will not check, and that is UPS. If you disclose that you're shipping liquor through FedEx or USPS, you are breaking their terms of service. However, UPS will not ask you if you are shipping liquor. You can ship another service. Anything that fits in a flat rate box and is well packaged will likely arrive, as long as it's well packaged and doesn't break in shipment. I've had a couple of packages that were shipped in flat rate boxes that did break in shipment. In fact, I lost a Templeton 12-year that was supposed to arrive to me, and that one still breaks my heart. Skull, I love you still. Skull. But yeah, Skull tried to send me a Templeton 12-year, and it broke in shipment. Either that or they discovered it was liquor and drank it amongst themselves. But William says, can I be your liver doctor? I feel a replacement is in your future. Then you think I drink a lot more than I actually do. So I will say an 11% and like a finger and a half of whiskey is a little bit more than my daily intake. In fact, I'll say it's quite a bit more than my daily intake. My daily intake consists of maybe 7%.
The other thing to consider is it's not like we're driving anywhere after this.
That's another. Yep.
I mean, this is what people do when they're working.
The show is 8 to 10, but the schedule is 7:30 to 12, because I assume you're going to need a couple hours here to chill out, relax, watch a couple episodes of Star Trek, as we often do after the show. So, you can ship a liquor with a valid license if you have a license to ship liquor. And in that case, any carrier will accept it so long as you are licensed. But again, UPS doesn't ask if you want to ship liquor. Are we clear? And I have a P.O. box listed down below. I am not endorsing the shipment of illegal substances, but if some happen to arrive, I gotta open them, right?
It's true.
It's true. It's totally
I'm pretty
true.
sure it's illegal not to open them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure it's a crime
legally anything
against
that is delivered
God.
to me is my property. So I am bound by the law to open my property.
I'll start sending you my bills. Just kidding.
Bills are another matter because mail fraud is also a thing. But anything that is addressed to me is legally mine.
Well, then I will...
So have you ever bought something on Amazon, like one item, like you bought a 9900K or something, and they shipped you a case? That case is legally yours. Amazon can't ask for it back, nor will they ask for it back. It's only if you say, hey, you shipped me 72 of these and I only ordered one, and they'll say, oops, and you say, hey, can I send these back? And they'll say, yeah, here's a shipping label.
Yeah.
Because you offered. If mail has your name on the sent to, it's your property. End of any legal argument. So, mistake or otherwise, it doesn't matter. You can't be sued, you can't be brought to court, and you will not be found guilty of it. So, the more you know.
That's why whenever I'm in the craft computing office, I just take stuff and mail it to myself.
That's where it went! You son of a...
I know you were looking for that left sock, Jeff, but I need your dirty left socks. All right, too far. Too far.
That's why I can't find my right socks. Let me get one of your 9900 KSs. I have one 9900K. I have one. So, full disclosure, I do receive motherboards. I sometimes receive graphics cards. Not very often, though. I do receive cases. I can get any case I want. I can call any manufacturer at any time and I will get that case. I can receive pretty much any cooler I want, although there's a couple of companies who like, we're out of that one. And I'm like, bullshit. And there's certain other components that I can receive, fair amounts of. But processors is a tough gig to get in. I live less than 30 miles from the Intel campus, and they won't even answer my emails. They don't care who I am.
They can't ignore you if you show up there, though.
Yes, they can. In fact, I've been met at gunpoint at the Intel lot before. So I was actually invited to a conference at the Intel lot as a member of the industry, and I was supposed to show up to Building D, which is their main corporate lobby and their conference hall and a couple other things. I pulled into the lot, but I pulled into the north entrance because I came in on 217 and kind of weaved around and whatnot up near Hillsboro, and finally, there's the Intel sign. I'll just pull in here. So I pulled into the first driveway for Intel that I saw, and I ended up pulling into Building A. Well, Building A is not Building D. I don't know if anyone knew that. So Building D, you drive up and there's like a 750 parking lot, spaces and this giant glass facade and welcome banners and people who like shake your hand at the moment you walk through the door. Building A is like 4 trucking bays. And if you pull up there, you will get a security officer literally walking up to you like, can I help you? And giving you one of these numbers, right? Can I help you?
Nice. Yeah. Hand on the hip. Come on.
Hand on the hip.
Work it, Intel. Get out of here.
I'm not kidding. I got met like that at the gate. And I'm like, I got invited to a conference. He goes, Building D. You need to go out the way you came and then go a block down and then hang a left.
You go back the way you came.
Yeah, you go back the way you came, son. That's what I got from Intel. That's my best interaction with Intel ever.
Come on, Intel. Get it together.
Oh, this is so good. Custom PC Gamer says, how about soda if I'm 19 and can't buy alcohol? If I were to send it. Actually, you can legally ship soda. Yes. So Skull 2 comments above you has my P.O. box as well as it's listed down in the video description. You're more than welcome to send me beverages. And I will enjoy them on the show. I enjoy all kinds of beverages. Montez says, happened to me. I ordered 2 packs of air filters and they sent me a case of 2 packs. It's happened to me before. I ordered something on eBay and he accidentally shipped all of his eBay orders to me. So I ended up with 7 Casio projectors at one point, which I was not disappointed in. And he tried to say, you know what you did? I'm like, you shipped them to me. Sorry. Yeah, that's another story. Gotta love this. What about mice? As long as you have cheese? I think I missed a comment somewhere. Oh, your sock comment. That must be what my dryer is doing. Dryer equals nom nom. What about mice? As long as you have cheese. Okay, I follow now. I got it. Let's see. Did we ever get to the story? Oh yeah. Confusing the gender stereotypes on Twitch. Okay.
Yeah, we did have one more story to get to.
Drake, you keep saying cream soda and scotch is where it's at. I haven't been to the store to buy cream soda, but I've got a really nice Speyside 10 scotch up there. I'm unfortunately out of Magnus, which is right there. That's my go-to single malt. Highland Park Magnus. Single malt scotch. It's $32 and it's freaking delicious. And it has probably the best cap you will ever see because it's half cap, half cork. It's a threaded cork, as it were. That's my go-to scotch.
I love drinking Billy Bob's grape scotch.
You would.
Well, you know I have a palate for the cheaper things, Jeff. So
I know. We love you anyway, Rhett. We really do.
It's my cheap charm. Keeps everybody coming back.
Then why do I keep bringing John back? Because there's not even any charm when he brings me cheap beer. At least you have charm when you bring Rainier. John has no charm when he brings me Budweiser Nitro.
Because John's doing it and he's like, it's like a backhanded thing. He's like, haha, I'm bringing cheap beer because
he's facetious about it is what it is.
Me?
You're like, I genuinely like Rainier. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's so true though.
Oh, Rhett, you're so cute.
I've never put on airs about it either. I'm not like John, who craps on me for the type of craft beers I like. Granted, look, I'll admit Gilgamesh not the best brewer out there, but like, you know what? I give him points for trying new stuff sometimes.
Yep.
And and so then he brings in Budweiser, whatever he's doing. It's like, come on, John. We all know this is so far beneath you. What are you doing to us?
All right, so I've got 3 comments I want to read real quick. Number 1, Regan Lyle says, are you ready for the 82 escort story? Yes. So there was a story I was going to get to, and that is there was a vulnerability disclosed today that visiting a website could make your iPhone and your Apple Mac vulnerable to turning on your camera and watching what you're doing. And it's a 0-day exploit. It has been patched in Safari as of the 13.0.5 release on January 28th. So it's not technically a 0-day. But if you haven't been keeping your Mac up to date, if you visit a site, apparently there's some malicious code that some people can run that will say, hey, I'm Zoom, or I'm Skype, or I'm Google Meet, and I want your access to your webcam. And your Mac will say, okay, and turn on your webcam, and we'll like send a video feed to wherever the person wants it to go. So be warned, update your Mac.
Yeah. That's
pretty much that story. That's literally all we have. That's why the Twitch, cleavage story made the rounds this week. Second question is, where was it at? Gosh, did I already miss that much?
I have a question. RTX 2070 Super XC Ultra.
There it is. Thank you. Yes, that's what I'm looking at. Custom PC Gamer, who has been quite active in the chat. I'm happy to answer a question. Hey, I have a question. I have an RTX 2070 Super XC from EVGA. And want to get the most out of it, but I only have an R5 2600. What is the recommended processor to utilize my 2070 to its fullest? Look back at my video library and look at the 2600 to 3600 upgrade video. The 3600 performs better, but it's only between 7 and 8%. And quite honestly, at the level that your 2070 performs, you're probably leaving a little bit on the table, but not nearly as much as you think. The 2600 is a great processor. The 3600 is an even better processor, but it's not like you're gonna like double your performance or even increase it by 50%. It's like a 7 to 8% improvement on average, and the average is kind of like it's a linear scale. So some games you'll see no improvement, and some games you'll see 8%. And that's about it. So quite honestly, the 2600, while it performed about 12% worse than like a 9900K, it's still pretty darn good. It's still a really good processor. The 2600 is one of my favorite processors in recent years because it's been affordable. You can put it on pretty much any platform. You can pretty much overclock all of them to 4 gigahertz. You can run 3200 megahertz memory on them, which really gets the best performance out of it, especially if you're at CAS 16 or lower. If you can get CAS 16 or 15 on your memory, you're doing very, very well. And you're within 5 to 8% of like the processor tier that's literally 3 times your price. 2600 is solid, man. Don't feel any shame in running that. And 2070 will serve you well for a number of years. I think there was one other question, but I don't remember what it was. GTX 680 4 gig runs games fantastically, so 750 should still be good. 750 is starting to show its age more because of its frame buffer of only 2 gigs. It was kind of the esports go-to card for like years, and I mean years. Anymore, I think that's kind of been transferred to the 1050, the 1052 gig, because it is that much faster than the 750, and it runs very, very well. So the 1050 is a solid card. Your 1030 is like nipping at the heels of it with the same frame buffer at 2 gigabytes. So yeah, in fact, I have that card right there is actually a GTX 680. It's a PNY GTX 680. May they rest in peace. And yeah, I think that's about it that I really wanted to get to. So the 82 Ford Escort story. Rhett, are you ready to hear this?
Jeff, I've never been more ready in my life.
Okay. So I'm going to take the full screen here. I've got you in a little window over here.
That's all right. I'm happy to be here.
All right. So picture Jeff, a very, very clean-cut 17-year-old with kind of shaggy hair. Still not shaggy below the ears, but like thick. But like baby face. It's not a great picture. Anyway, so my very first car was a 93 Geo Metro hatchback 3-cylinder. It wasn't the LSI model with the 4-cylinder 1.3. It was the 3-cylinder 1.0. And in 2003, we had this massive ice storm that swept over Oregon. And we were locked in place for something like 11 days or something like that. So kind of like quarantine, but because of ice, not because of we hate everyone. So one day it starts thawing, and I decide I want to drive over to my girlfriend's house, who, by the way, she's upstairs right now. So I drive my car over to her house, which is only about 5 or 6 miles away. And the entrance to her house is covered with this snowplow berm. And I'm in a Geo Metro with 13-inch wheels. And I'm just like, I'll go over it. So I go over the top of it. And of course, it's scraping across the bottom of my car. And I'm like, okay, I'm over it.
And I make it about 100 feet, and all of a sudden the car makes a funny noise and stops. And what had happened was when I went over the snow berm, it ripped the oil plug out of the bottom of my oil pan and drained all of my oil in the middle of the road. And seized my engine literally on the spot. Because there's only like 2 quarts of oil in a 1-liter engine. So I didn't know it at the time. Because I thought my car just like, maybe I ran out of gas, maybe I did this, maybe I did that. But no, the car was dead. We got it started the next day and then I drove it home, but that car, it developed a rod knock very quickly and I drove it for like another 2 days and that engine ended with a hole about that big in the side of the block. And when you think of it, of a 1-liter engine, you're thinking about that big, it's a hole about that big is what it made. So that car died. All of a sudden, I'm needing a car and I have almost no cash on hand. And I mean almost none. I am down to my last penny. We're like rolling pennies for gas money, kind of broke. I scrape up every last penny that I have and I have about $320. And my uncle says he has a car for sale for $300. And so I go down. I have another one of my uncles from another side of the family drive me down 140 miles or something like that to go meet my other uncle so he can sell me an 82 Ford Escort for $300. And it was an 82 Ford Escort hatchback. It had a 1.6 liter engine, automatic, but it only had 80,000 miles on it. And it was perfectly clean car. And I went, that's a great deal for $300. Like the registration is going to cost me $50 alone. So $300 for the car, that's awesome. So I buy the car, I drive it home. Now, what I don't realize is on the way home is the speedometer is broke. And so I think I'm doing like 58 when in fact I'm doing 67 or something like that. And my uncle is following behind me, and he's getting really irritated that I'm going so fast on these backcountry roads. So, Rhett, you know where I'm talking about. Coos Bay Highway 38.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I was doing like 65, 70, 75 miles an hour on that road in an 82 Ford Escort. Anyway. So I get it home, and this is like early January because the Geo died in early January, and I think it was like January 14th. I get it home. Valentine's Day weekend. So February 14th, I have a couple of things going on. Number one, I'm playing in an orchestra, and my girlfriend wants to come watch me in the orchestra. There's also I have tickets to the Winterhawks, our local Portland AA or AAA hockey team, and I have like 6 tickets or something like that. So I want to bring some of my friends. So my buddy from Eugene wants to go, but he doesn't have a car, and I'm living like Wilsonville area at the time, and so it's a 95-mile drive to go down to Eugene, and then 95 miles back, and then another 30 to get to the Rose Garden. So I say, hey, let me come pick you up, because that's a brilliant thing to do in a 1982 that gets 12 miles to the gallon. So I drive down to Eugene, and about the time I hit Corvallis, my battery light kicks on. And it's done this from time to time. You know, it's popped on and whatnot, and then it's gone away. And then it pops on again, and then it goes away. And so I'm just thinking like, oh, it's reading like 11.5 volts. Who cares? You know, kind of thing. So I get down there, but this time I'm driving through Corvallis, and the light doesn't go off. I'm like, huh. And it's 40 miles from Corvallis to Eugene. And so I make it to Eugene, and the battery light still hasn't gone off. And so I pull up to his house, and I say, hey, do you have like a quick car charger or something like that? And he goes, yeah, actually I do. And so I'm like, cool, we're going to sit here for like an hour. And so we hook my battery up to the car charger just to make sure it's not like the battery or anything like that. And we're sitting there watching TV and just kind of hanging out. And then an hour goes by, and I'm like, let's go check on the car. So I turn on the car turns on, first rev, not a problem, fires right up. And I look at the dash, battery light's not on. Let's hit the road. Let's go to Portland, and then tomorrow night we've got the orchestra thing that I'm involved in. That'll be great. And So we're driving north from Eugene. I make it to Corvallis again, and this time the battery light comes on again. And it stays on. And I'm watching this battery light the whole time. And it's about 5:30 in the middle of winter, like December, it's sunset at 4 o'clock. And it's 5:30. And my friend is in the back seat, and he's reading a book. And I'm like, you really don't need that light on right now. Let's turn that off. You know what? The radio's getting boring. It's kind of distracting me from the road. Let's turn the radio off. I'm good with running lights. Let's turn the headlights off. Let's just get to where we're going, kind of thing. And so I'm trying not to like cause any alarm, but at the same time I'm going, we're gonna die. We're going to die. I'm going to break down somewhere along this line. So I make it all the way from exit 223, which is Corvallis, which is about where I noticed the battery light come on, to exit 252. So I drive almost 30 miles with a battery light on. And at this point, I realized I probably should have called someone. I probably should have called my dad, called, whoever else. Hey, I'm having car problems. I might need a lift, something like that. I make it to exit 252, which is the Commercial Street exit, Commercial Street South exit on I-5. And I'm watching my RPMs, and I'm like 3,200 at highway speed. And my tachometer goes and just falls off.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh crap. And all of a sudden I'm doing like 1,200 RPM, and the car's going and just shaking violently. And I'm a half mile from the exit still. And so I get onto the shoulder, and I coast down the hill, and luckily it's a downhill slant to a red or to a stoplight, and I pull up to the stoplight, and the car just dies. And I know at this point I probably should have called and said, "Hey, I'm having problems. Would you mind coming down and picking us up?" But we also really still want to make this hockey game, and I'm only 60 minutes from making the hockey game, and so. Idiot late teenager brain goes, we can do this. We can do this. So I turn over the car, or I start the engine, and it doesn't want to start. But I just mash my foot into the floor, and all of a sudden it goes. It's doing this the whole time. The tach is just going nuts. And I made it from that exit on surface streets 16 miles. I made it past Brooks. So for those who don't know, exit 252 is Commercial Street on the south end of Salem in Oregon. I made it about 3 miles past exit 263, going surface streets, weaving through 25-mile-an-hour traffic. And every single stop sign and stoplight I come to, the car just wants to die, but I'm just like giving it like half throttle to keep the RPMs above like 6.
Yeah.
And I know at this point, if I call my dad, he's going to be mad because I didn't call 2 hours ago. Yeah. And so it's my teenage brain, like last little bit of like, I can still do this. And so I make it to Brooks on Highway 99E, and I'm doing it. And by the way, the max speed of this car right now is 23 miles an hour. I'm not going one over that because it just does not have it. I'm running on one cylinder. We make it to Brooks, and I start to hear this like metal on metal grinding sound, and I'm like, okay, I'm calling it. We're broken down. So I finally own up. I call my dad, and he's like, well, I have a tow rope, but because it's now 7:30 at night and sunset was at 4, I can't tow you unless we have someone else and lights and a flagger car and everything else. So we also have to call my girlfriend's dad so he can come out and drive behind us with flasher lights on, because obviously my battery can't even handle blinkers at this point. And so he comes down, he gets to me about 8:30. We hook up, we drive it home, and I'm just like ashamed the entire time. And of course it's still 20 miles to where we're going. And so he has to tow me on a tow rope with a flagger vehicle behind me 20 miles. We finally get back home. The hockey game is over by the time we get home.
Oh, of course.
And Big Spoon says $1.99. Rhett, I'm gonna turn this over to here, and I'm gonna go boop.
No boops. No.
Consider yourself booped. I got you. You son of a. Anyway, that's not where the story ends. The story gets really interesting when I go to fix the car. So, the metal on metal grinding sound was the bearing inside the alternator seizing. I had literally melted the bearing solid. So I get out in the, so overnight we take the battery out of the car, we put it on a trickle charger, we let it charge 12 hours. Wake up in the morning get out to the car about 9 o'clock, and go check the battery. Battery's checking fine. It's got, 13 volts on it. Cool. We put it back in the car, try to start it. Car starts right up, but immediately dies because, the belt won't spin anymore. Because the alternator doesn't want to crank over. And so I pull the alternator out of the car. I drive down to the local auto parts store. I think it was O'Reilly's at this point. And I say, hey, do you have an alternator for an 82 Ford Escort? And he goes, actually, by chance, we do. And we have a remanufactured one. It's $30. Right? Like, I've never walked into an auto store and said, do you have this weird part? And them go, yeah, it's way more affordable than you thought it was. $30. Cool, done. So I buy the alternator, I get home, I put the alternator in the car, I go to turn on the car, and the car doesn't want to start again. Well, that's weird. And so we're checking around things, and we're getting spark, but it's kind of weird. It's like kind of an intermittent spark. And this is an 82, so it still has a voltage regulator on it, which is basically like a glorified transformer. It takes the 12 volts and turns it into the logic that whatever the car speaks is what it is. I check the voltage regulator, and we're getting jolts of like 42, 38, 2. and whatnot. It's like, oh, I need a new voltage regulator. So I pull that out of the car, I drive back to O'Reilly, and I say, hey, do you have a voltage regulator for an 82 Ford Escort? And they say, by chance we do. $8. Right? So I go, $8. Cool. So I give them $8. I walk back with my brand new voltage regulator, put it in the car, turn it on, and it starts right up. Awesome. We're sitting there, we're listening to it. It runs, it sounds good, like it's got life again, nothing wrong, nothing bad happened outside of the alternator, everything's good. We're letting it run for, 2 or 3 minutes, just kind of making sure everything's good and whatnot. And my dad points down and he goes, hey, your fuel pump is leaking. That's weird. And I look down and there's this little drip, 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 just like that. And I'm like, I wonder if the hose just kind of came loose, because when we, through the jostling through the 16 miles of Salem traffic, there was a little bit of shaking going on. So I wonder if I just need to give that hose clamp an extra eighth of a turn. I put the wrench on the hose clamp and the diaphragm inside the manual fuel pump explodes. And if you've never seen a manual fuel pump explode, think of like me cutting my jugular vein live on camera here. And as soon as I touch the fuel pump, it blows and just starts shooting gas all over the engine. So I cover the carb real quick and kill the engine. And it's like, okay, now I need a fuel pump. That's an even more exotic part. Like, it's not like a standard, Ford part or whatever. And so I pull the fuel pump off the top of the vehicle and I drive to O'Reilly's and I say, hey, now I need a fuel pump for an 82 Ford Escort. And at this point, they're like, it's you again? It's been like, you've been in here 3 times in 2 hours. What the hell are you doing? And I'm like, now I need a fuel pump. And he looks it up and he goes, yeah, I have one. This one's $80. Okay. And again, I'm like a struggling first year college student. Like, I don't have extra scratch, and I spent every last dime I had on this car 4 weeks ago, and this is like cutting into whatever like ramen noodle fund I had at the time. It's gone. Like, it's $80 and I have $82 left. Just kind of where I'm at. Swipe it. I need the car. I need to go places. Get the fuel pump. Get it back. Put the fuel pump in. Start the car. Wing in a prayer. Fires up. And we're running. And it's running. And we're looking around the engine bay. And everything looks fine. And I'm going to take it for a test drive. So I close the hood, I get in the car, I pull out of the cul-de-sac, and I get to the stop sign and hit the stop sign just fine. I hang a right and go about 2 blocks down the road to the stop sign. And then if I hang a right, it's a 55 mile an hour zone. Let's get it up to highway speed. Let's see how it does. I get around that corner and the throttle sticks wide open. And by the way, it's a brutal 3-speed on this thing, with a red line of like 5,500 RPM. And so it all of a sudden just like lurches on me and goes. And my foot is off the gas and on the brake, and I'm still accelerating because the brakes are also crap. So I'm holding the brakes, and I realize I'm not going to stop. So I just throw the thing into neutral, come to a stop, and the tack is going. So I kill the engine, and I'm already a half mile away from home, and I left my cell phone in the garage. And so I push that 82 Escort a half mile home by myself. It's flat ground. It's not that difficult, but I pushed it home by myself. I get back home like an hour later. And we open the hood for a postmortem. And we're looking at the carb, and we're looking at the throttle assembly, and there's this little yellow piece of plastic, literally about a ½ inch wide, and it's lodged in the throttle assembly. And I take out my needle nose and I pull it out, and the throttle goes shink, and I go, okay, that was the problem. and I'm like, okay, well, where did this little yellow piece come from? Like, little yellow piece of plastic, square, no bigger than ½ inch by ½ inch. And I'm looking all around the engine bay going, well, the throttle assembly is like the second highest piece in the engine bay. Where the hell did this come from? Oh, there's this little yellow plastic piece on the top of the carb. What could that be? That was the automatic choke for the 2-barrel carb on the 82 Ford Escort. So I'm looking at this piece, and I'm like, well, it's obviously broken. And now I'm trying to turn the car over, and it's trying to turn over, but the carb is not opening anymore. And so I could like wire the carb open with a zip tie, and it'll probably start and just run really, really rich, or really, really lean rather, or I don't run the car anymore unless it's like, well, that's not an option. So I take the little yellow tab that fell off, and this time I walk into O'Reilly's, and by the way, I couldn't drive my own car down there, and my dad couldn't take me down there either, because they're heading to an event that night. And so I take my stepmom's brand new 2002 Honda Accord LX, decked out, sunroof leather, V6, white, tan leather interior, the works. She literally bought this car like 3 months earlier. It has like 2,000 miles on it. I drive that car down. And so I'm a late teenager. I'm like, I got a V6 all of a sudden. I'm like, yeah, I'm living life. Like, sunroof is open, and I'm doing like, 64 down the highway kind of thing. So you don't get pulled over, but still have some fun. So I get into O'Reilly's. I open the front door, and they immediately, all 3 employees working there start laughing because I'm back again. I walked to the counter, and I put the little yellow tab down on the counter. And I said, I know you don't have that, and I know you don't have like the lever that it came off of, but this is the lever for the automatic choke on an OEM 2-barrel carb for an 82 Ford Escort. Can you do anything for me? And remember how I said I spent 80 of my last $82 on that fuel pump? So I'm winging a prayer in it right now. He goes, okay, so I can't get you the electric choke, and I can't swap out your choke for another model. Instead, I have to get you a new carb. That'll be $485.
Oof.
Ugh, gut punch, right? So I went, okay, that's probably not going to happen today. I'm going to have to think about it for a while. I'll come back. Like, do you have it in stock? Yeah, we have it in stock. Okay. I could go to a wrecking yard. I could probably pick up a carb for like $65, get a rebuild kit for another 100, we're good to go kind of thing. Like, I'll think about it. And so I turn around, and right as I turn around, there's this really big dude. Like, I'm 6'5", at the time, not quite what I weigh now, but I'm 6'5" and a pretty big dude. This guy comes in and he is towering over me. And he goes, does anyone have a white Honda Accord out in the parking lot? And I went, yeah. And he goes, I just backed into it.
Dang it.
So he had this giant panel van with a hitch receiver on the back of it, and the back windows were not windows; they were just panels. And he literally backed straight into my stepmom's car, straight into the corner of the bumper, on her brand new Honda Accord with 2,000 miles on it. So I'm like, okay, not only can I not afford the carb, now you've damaged my stepmom's car. And so they're on their way to like this event, and this is well before cell phones are like everywhere. This is like when they're still like, okay, I'm driving on the major highway, but I'm coming up to this 2-mile section where I have no service.
Yeah.
So I call my dad and I say, hey Dad, so I'm at O'Reilly's and I can't afford the carb. It's $485. And some dude just walked in and he has this giant panel van and they backed into Mom's car. But it's okay. It looks like they just bent the license plate back. It should be just fine. I'm looking under the car. There's nothing cracked. The paint is fine. It's not dented. It's not anything. It's just the license plate frame bent in a little bit. I bent it back out. There's no damage whatsoever. I think we're good. What do you think? Like I don't want to make a deal of this kind of thing, right. And whatnot. And I'm looking at it and it's visibly like good. It's just the frame bent back under like the little scoop that's under the bumper right there. And I bent the license plate frame back out and it didn't even scratch the paint under it. And so I'm on the phone with him, but he's going through one of those 2-mile areas that has zero cell phone reception.
Yeah.
He's in Aurora on 99. There you go.
Gotcha.
So all he hears is, hey, the carb's too expensive. It's $485. I can't afford it right now. And someone backed into Mom's car. That's all he gets. So, and he's like 20 minutes from the next cell phone spot that he can reach me from. So I go ahead and write down the guy's information. And I said, I don't know. We might be in contact with you. We might not. I don't know how this works, but I'm going to go. And so I drive back home. And that's pretty much the end of the story. I ended up selling that car for the cost of the license registration that I just put on it, which was $52.
Oh, God. Worst.
We know this is an 82, but when was this occurring? This was early 2000s. I'll put it that way. This was early 2000s. The car I was driving to the auto parts store was a 2002 Honda Accord, and it had 2,000 miles on it, and it was brand new. So put yourself into that situation. Yep. Oh, and people said doggo hype. Come here, Rue. Come here. Come here. Say hi. Here's Ruby.
I don't want it. Oh,
There's Ruby. Yeah. Here's Ruby. So that's my 82 Escort story.
Perfect. Wow, that sounds like a really unfortunate series of events.
Yeah. So it's a good story. It's a long story. I don't embellish any of those events. Every single event's happened exactly as I said it. And I'm glad all of you stayed around this long to listen. I think I've told this once before on the channel, but it's an entertaining story. 88 Honda Accord did that. Had to pump the gas hard to stop it. Yeah. So how did your father-in-law feel about the crap you put him through that night? And were you supposed to play in the orchestra? I was supposed to play in the orchestra. In college, I was originally a music education major, believe it or not. I was a member of the Oregon All-State Orchestra. I was a member my freshman year of high school of the All-Northwest Orchestra. By my junior year, I was the #1 clarinetist in the state. So I was up there. I was up there in the musical ranks, and now I play the ukulele. So that's how that worked out for me. Right. No, I still play bass from time to time. I realized very early into college that I didn't enjoy playing when I didn't get to decide what I wanted to play. Also, since I was a music education major, I realized very early on that the only band teachers I had ever had that job for 30 years, which means there's no openings right now. So I can either wait 12 years to find a job that I'll lose next year because the school cuts funding, or I can change my major. And so that's what I did.
Or you got to relocate somewhere.
Exactly. You got to drive wherever the next available position is, and you better freaking like it. Or maybe not, because you're only going to live there for 2 years anyway. So I decided it wasn't the career for me. I still love music. I still play as often as I can. But I kind of switched my focus away from wind instruments over to guitar, bass, and, the standard band instruments. Near the end of my high school career, junior, senior year, and then later on into, the mandolin.
What can I say?
Yeah.
Little attitude.
Nice Bryce says, record some music for the Patreons, Craft Computing. I'm an okay singer. In fact, I do need to get one of my friends in here who is an amazing vocalist, and maybe we can do some stuff like that. Do a little 3-piece band kind of thing. Because that'd be fun.
Hey, I'm technically, officially lead engineer at a local studio here in Salem now. So
that's true. I forgot about that.
We should get something rolling.
We absolutely should. I'd love to get some actual studio time in.
Yeah, I could probably hook you guys up. Depends on how things go with isolation and stuff. But the company that I'm with actually bought the Town and Country Lanes bowling alley.
Oh, really?
And they're turning that into like a community center that includes a completely brand new recording studio.
Oh, you're fine. What are you whining about? Huh?
She's like, I gotta go potty.
No, she wants to go to bed.
Oh, yeah.
Which, we moved into the new house in December, and the dogs have always slept out in the living room. So we've got a bed for Ruby here, and then Zeke we kennel at night just to make sure he doesn't chew on anything. He's a really good dog, but occasionally he'll get a little rambunctious at night, so we just kennel him. But Ruby just sleeps all night. She's an old soul. Yeah. But since the quarantine, Ruby's been a little bit on edge. She feels like things are different, things are changing a little bit, and so she started refusing to sleep in her own bed and instead wanted to sleep in our room with us. And so Zeke still sleeps in the kennel out in the living room, but Ruby's been sleeping in our bedroom. And so I eventually drug one of her beds in here. By the way, one of her beds into our room.
Of course.
And so she's sleeping right beside the bed next to me. I've woken up no less than 5 times in the last 10 days to her snuggling with me.
Oh.
So she will hop up in the bed very stealth-like. And I've literally, when you wake up and next to your wife and she's got an arm draped around you and you're like, oh, that's so sweet. I wake up to a dog paw from the wrong direction. Like I think it's my wife snuggling me, and I turn over to my right where she should be, and it's like, no, she's over on her own side. What the hell?
So sweet.
That's been my mornings for the last about 20 days or so.
Oh,
But Ruby's a good snuggler. I'm not gonna lie. Not gonna lie at all.
Good pupper.
Does the Discord have a music channel? Absolutely. We have the Klingon Opera. There's a lot of metal in there, but pretty much any music, news, or related videos, news articles, whatever, is welcome in that channel. Becky says my baby sis is supposed to graduate next month in music ed. She's going on vocal emphasis, but was always first chair flute in high school. That's freaking awesome. Yeah. I had a weird music career in high school because I was one of the. I don't want to say like it came easy to me, but it really did. Where it's like I came in my freshman year and all of a sudden I was the second chair in high school only because he didn't want to put me first chair because there was a senior in first chair. But I was also the first chair on the all-state orchestra like my freshman year. Like I don't want to blow my own horn, but I can't not because that's where I was. And so I had the music career in the high school group in my high school where I was the show off, or I was just doing it for the attention, or I was this or I was that. And it's like, I'm just playing. I'm trying to play the music as best as I can. And so at my first high school, I got along great with a lot of people because there were a lot of people who were up in the upper ranks like I was. But then I moved my senior year and I went to kind of I don't want to call it a backwater school, but a school that had like a tenth the population. And that's where I graduated from. And all of a sudden I was like the outcast because I was the slick city kid who came in and what are you doing with our band? And, this is my band and stuff like that. And so I didn't get along well with a lot of the high school people there because it wasn't just I was a show off. I was also a know-it-all. But it's like, yeah, I've also taken 9 years of music theory. What do you want out of me? You asked a question. I gave you an answer. Like, yeah. What instrument? I was in drumline. I did clarinet, all of them from soprano clarinet E flat down to I played an E flat contrabass clarinet in one concert, and that was freaking amazing. I played on All Northwest my freshman year as the third seated bass clarinet. And my junior year, I was the number one clarinet. I was the prime chair clarinet for WIBIC, Western International Band Clinic in Seattle, Washington. I also played pretty much all the saxophones. Never really played soprano sax, but alto, tenor, and bari. Played trombone and baritone occasionally for pep band kind of stuff. Also did some marching floor stuff with quints, or with the quad drums and quint drums. Did a little bit of snare line work, a little bit of percussion. Not a great percussionist, can kind of find my way around a drum set well enough. Like I can play a 2/4 rock beat, but that's about it. Little bit of piano, enough to get myself in trouble. Same kind of thing. And then around junior year, I started picking up guitar and bass, and that's kind of where I live these days is guitar, bass, and love playing ukulele because it's something that I don't have to practice all that much, but I can pick up and be competent at. So I play baritone ukulele these days. So that's my music career. Rhett, what do you got? What do you got for a music career?
Oh, not much. I was in band and stuff throughout high school, but and we did drumline. But our drumline, while wildly successful for the first few years, like had trouble getting off the ground because our drumline, essentially we had like a drumline instructor, basically like a freaking drill sergeant. And while he was around, we were just very focused and dedicated and on the right path. And then after he left, like we just couldn't ever kind of keep our feet on the ground. And so the marching band program kind of fell apart. But I kind of came up in the system playing percussion and playing drums and moved over to playing guitar because I wanted to be in a rock band. I came from a small town and like nobody played instruments to like do a rock band. So I like bought a guitar and did all that. And it's kind of weird because it's like on one hand, it's like I still sometimes like professionally do percussion and drums with like local theaters and things like that. In fact, I was part of
Yeah, yeah.
Salem Symphony, which we actually played with Joshua Bell. And if you guys don't know him, I think if you Google him on YouTube, search him on YouTube, blah, 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 one of his videos comes up where he was like busking in a subway with like a $4 million violin, and he made like $20 or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like was a weird social experiment. But anyway, he came to Salem and we played with him at the Elsinore Theater.
You ever seen Project Trio?
No, I don't think I have.
Project Trio was founded by a guy named Frank Patilio. He is a flautist, which is not what you would think of when you think like modern music. So it's a flute, it's a viola, and it's a double bass.
Nice.
And what
That's
they do is they play classics. So they'll play Sugar Plum Fairy, and they'll play Nutcracker, and they'll play William Tell Overture, and all these classical pieces. Frank Patilio is a beatboxing flautist.
Nice. Oh yeah, I think I've seen that.
You've probably heard at least one or two of his things. So he does a lot of solo stuff. You've probably seen him on YouTube if you've ever seen a beatboxing flautist. He's done the Pink Panther theme. He's done Mario Brothers. He's done a lot of those other things. He also founded the group called Project Trio, where they do classics but modernized, but still with the original instruments. And it's an amazing group. I believe they're out of New York. And so they do a lot of East Coast kind of tours. So if you ever get the chance to see them, go see them.
For
because
sure.
they're freaking amazing.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. Can I play metal? I can't play metal. I'm not. I'm more of a jazz bassist. And that kind of comes from, you come from a certain line of training when you play clarinet and bass clarinet, and you learn theory in a certain way. Your mind works bass lines in a certain way. And so you give me a jazz 7, oh, I will rock your world. You tell me to slap it, I don't know what you're talking about. Drop D, what is that? Like, I'm aware of the concept, but if you ask me to drop D, I think you're asking something completely different other than bassline.
It's funny I come at it from a backwards place, because it's like I started playing guitar.
And I hate to sound pretentious and say like I'm classically trained.
No,
like,
yeah, I get you.
Like I'm a classically trained bass player.
See, I think it kind of ruined my potential, because I learned all these weird shortcuts and mental roadmaps through theory and stuff based on playing metal, that like don't really apply to many like styles outside of it. And so like, now I play guitar, and it's like I struggle with certain stuff that I want to play currently, but then it's like, oh, as soon as I get my electric guitar back in my hands, it's like, oh, here's those metal riffs that just come naturally, because that's how I formulated all my thought patterns and things about the neck of the guitar was based on that. So it's.
Meanwhile, you hand me a bass and I start playing like "Stand by Me."
Yeah.
Dum, 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 dum,
Nice.
Dum, 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 dum. Yeah, like 1451. That's where I live.
There you go.
I got nothing else.
Well, we're gonna have to get a craft computing project. Get John involved. Get your buddy involved.
Craft computing project trio. I like it.
There you go.
I could get down with that.
It'd be fun.
Yeah. All right. I think that's going to do it for episode 127 here on Talking Heads. Hold on. I have to finish my beer before we sign off.
You better do it.
There it is.
Well done, sir.
This has been a fun episode. These remote shows are a little different, but they're still fun. They're still fun. I'm glad you all had a good time watching it. Attendance looks to be a little bit down, but at the same time, that's not why we do it. We're here because you enjoy watching it, and thank you for watching. Anyway, join us next Wednesday, same time, 8 o'clock Pacific time for the latest in beer and tech news. Follow me on Twitter at Craft Computing. Also, make sure to like this video and subscribe to Craft Computing if you haven't done so already. Rhett, you got anything to plug for Game Devs Quest or any other side projects you're working on?
Yeah, actually, I'll keep this pretty brief. Right now, Game Devs Quest, We are running a worldwide game jam. You get together with your friends or not friends, whatever. If you have any sort of game development experience, whether it be in coding, whether it be in art, music, or sound design, and you get together, you create a game. From start to finish, from scratch till the end. But see, typically we run these things called the OMG Jam, and it stands for One Mechanic Game Jam, point being to keep the barrier of entry into game development as low as possible. However, now, OMG Jam 7, it's a little bit different. It's the Outbreak Mitigation Game Jam. We're encouraging you to stay home. We've upped the time frame from a simple 1 weekend game jam to like 6 weeks or 8 weeks or something. So it's going to be running for a long time. You can find it on itch.io. You just
6 weeks for one mechanic? Hell, even I could code that.
Right, exactly. You're good to go. The whole point.
Hope you like Python.
Yeah. We just want to give everybody a chance to really work on something and stay home and hopefully beat this thing. So look it up on itch.io and hit us up at Game Devs Quest on Twitter.
Absolutely. Check them out. Their One Mechanic game jams are always a good time. It's always fun to see the creativity that comes out of something as simple of a concept as that. And it gets everyone involved. If you don't think you can code, you absolutely can code. Give it a try. And if you have any questions, feel free to look him up at Game Devs Quest on Twitter or GameDevsQuest.com. Did I plug that right?
Perfect.
Excellent. Anyway, that's about all we got. I think I should have a new video coming out possibly on Friday, and then I've got a couple of really cool projects coming up on the channel, including repurposing some old laptop motherboards. Nice. And one video that I was hoping to get out for the April 1st, but I didn't get out, but I think I'm going to roll with that video anyway. So a little bit of a misdirection video coming up, as it were. And John Jay just poured himself a couple more fingers of Jameson 18, just saying, well, I'm still working on the last finger. I had Rhett's share, but I'm going to go ahead and finish this one here.
It's true.
Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, we will see you next week. Adios, guys.